Bill Belichick. And look, like I said, it's better than Fat Patricia.
But that's not saying anything. So you had the stupidest thing I've ever seen a head coach do with a staff, and now you've improved from that. Whoop-de-doo. That's like getting out of a bad relationship with a girl that set your car on fire with you in it and then went, well, at least she waited for me to get out of the house before she set it on fire.
All right, let me ask you this question then. What better hire could they have made? Who's out there that would take this job to work under stodgy old Bill Belichick?
Oh, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people.
You think so?
I feel like Bill Belichick just did the exact same thing he did a year ago, only this time he did it with offensive coaches. Because the two names that I heard routinely with this job were Bill O'Brien and Adrian Clem. Do you know what that represents?
What?
The exact same thing that you've done for 30 years. That's worked exactly one era ever, and it was with Tom Brady. I do not know what Bill Belichick needs to wake him up from this fog of we're going to keep recasting New England. This is like the Real World. Do you remember the show The Real World?
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, it was very edgy, and they had guys like Puck, and there were all these people, and that was fantastic.
Yeah.
That
Puck
was fantastic.
Awesome. I was a big Puck fan.
Well, see, but then you started getting progressively more just cattywampus with your casting. And then you got to The Real World Austin. And what was the allure of that? Did anybody remember a cast member from that?
No.
No, you know why? Because it was awful. Because you took a great idea and you kept recasting it every single year, and every single year it got just a little bit worse.
Mm-hmm.
Till the end, it didn't even look like what you started with. The Bill Belichick system, why this worked for so long was because you had a point man that was smarter than anybody on the field, and he always made the right read, he always made the right throw. And you had receivers that really knew the system, and you had two tight ends, and you had mismatch issues, and defensively you just played great football. What of what I just said do the New England Patriots have right now? Any of it? Do they have a thing that I just said?
I mean, they do have two tight ends.
They have two tight ends that compared to, I mean, look, I know Aaron Hernandez did all that just on the football field, Him and Rob Gronkowski is exponentially greater than Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And now name me the team in the NFL that's winning football games this way. The system that Bill O'Brien is bringing in, you name me the team in the NFL that's winning that way. Nobody. They don't exist. It's new, innovative, upbeat, up-tempo. Quarterback gets the ball out of their hand. I got playmakers everywhere. It's not, hey, look, I've got geriatric Mac Jones that can turn around and hand it to Ramondre Stevenson for 12 feet at a time. Innovative football. And it's the – I'm going to level with you. My team plays in this division. There's no more irrelevant team in this league right now to me than the New England Patriots. And in the next hour, we're going to do future power rankings. I'll give you one guess where New England landed. Because it's not 32.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 25. They landed in the dead center of the NFL. Because you are the definition of purgatory.
I mean, you can't teach old dogs new tricks.
Well, then the old dog needs to get out of the kitchen, because I'm telling you right now, you can do this until kingdom come. You can keep reshuffling these deck chairs all you want to. You're irrelevant. I mean, and I already see Patriots fans in the chat saying, I'm not. What do you want me to say? You want me to sit here and lie to you? I mean, is that what you're after? Because it doesn't make any sense to me, and it's never going to. And I've been saying this for years. And weird. Tom leaves, and what have you been? 7-10, 8-9, 9-8. Whoopie-doo. You are the most talked about irrelevant franchise in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And this is just another hire that makes you feel good because it's that guy that he was here when things were good. Well, that's all well and good, except for the catalyst to that, the engine to that car is bye-bye. And you don't have a replacement. You have a ridiculous little eco-friendly electric car engine that you're trying to run this car on. It don't work that way.
They do have that guy in the building, and his name is Bailey Zappi. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bailey Zapp is Bailey Zapp's gonna beat Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, and that's just the top four.
Of course it's not.
But that's my point. That's my point. What am I supposed to get excited about? This has been everywhere today of, this was the best hire Bill could have made. Is it really, though?
I think so.
I don't, because this is just more of the exact same nonsense. When Bill O'Brien was at Penn State, was that a prodigious offense? No. Was it a prodigious offense when he was with the Houston Texans? No. And he had better talent in both of those places than he has in New England. You can keep doing the same thing, but the definition of insanity is doing it over and over again and expecting a different result. You're not going to get one. If you keep wanting to trot out these mediocre athletic quarterbacks that cannot move with no natural number one receiver, and you think you're going to win football games in 2023, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, good luck. 9-8's calling your name. Frankly, I'm starting to think we should start calling that the New England Patriot. When you get a 9-5, when you get 9-5 in Texas Hold'em, you call it a Dolly Parton. 9-8's a New England Patriot.
You are in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville. Will Bill O'Brien make a difference with the New England Patriots? Again, I maintain it's better than what they had, but there again, they didn't have an offensive coach. So a
living, breathing person is better than non-applicable.
Yeah. So on the scale of growth, it's the greatest hire in the history of football.
That's the most millennial participation trophy you have ever handed out in the years we've been doing this show.
You are in the Sportsocracy. It's ESPN Asheville.
Tired of getting dinged by monthly fees on your checking account? You need Simple Checking from Home Trust Bank. With Simple Checking, you get all the essential checking services for free, including 100% online access and a free Visa debit card. It's everything you need from a checking account, but no hoops, no surprises, no monthly fees. Stop by today or call 800-627-1632. Simple Checking at Home Trust. Ready for what's next. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Everyone's heard about the housing market and this being the best time to sell a house in years. But the same thing applies to cars. Whether you're looking to buy a car, trade in, or sell that car in the driveway collecting dust, Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville wants to buy your car. They have 2 on-site managers that work with Kelly Blue Book to give you top dollar for your vehicle. You can even have your car appraised instantly at AndersonNissan.com. Stop in and visit them today at 629 Brevard Road in Asheville or call them at 828-365-1663.
Rogue Combat Club, Asheville's home for comprehensive martial arts training, has a goal for our community, one that's stronger, more fit, and unwavers in its support of one another. Rogue Combat Club's instructors have competed at the highest levels and offer classes for everyone from young children to adults in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and wrestling. Rogue Combat Club classes can help you boost your self-confidence and self-defense skills while weeding out the egos and intimidation found at other gyms. Join today at RogueCombatClub.com.
Is it getting harder to find new customers? After all, it's one thing to run a business and another to grow it, especially these days. But what if you had access to everyone listening to me right now? Access to all the customers in your area. As the #1 audio company in America, iHeartMedia gives you access to all the customers you need to grow at a fraction of the cost of digital, video, and social advertising, with experts ready to craft your message fast. Get started today at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Don't go through another year with that knee pain or back pain. People with chronic joint pain are getting real lasting relief from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine. Their unique protocols use healing agents from your own body to target aching joints, repairing and restoring damaged tissue so you can move again with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Got shoulder pain, excruciating hip pain? If you have any arthritis pain or lingering pain from an injury, don't let them operate on you or give you more steroids, and say no to the pain pills. Call QC Kinetics and see if their all-natural treatments can get you living your best life in the new year. This is the future of joint pain management, and appointments are available as soon as the next week. Make 2023 the year you say goodbye to joint pain. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 828-333-9517. That's 828-333-9517. With locations in Asheville and Greenville. QC Kinetics, 828-333-9517.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
The Sportsocracy.
We're just dumber than a bag of hammers.
It is the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville, back in the Ingles studio, and Tony Pollard had tightrope surgery today to fix the broken left fibula. He's got a high ankle sprain as well, along with the broken foot.
Oh. Hey, and the Dallas Cowboys, you know what? New England fans, you get a reprieve because you only get one segment of me yelling about your team. Because the Dallas Cowboys went, you want something to talk about? Let's give you something to talk about. How in the world is that tweet still up? If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Dallas Cowboys official Twitter put out a tweet that said, Dak Prescott turns it up, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have it pulled up in front of me, commits 2 common turnovers in a game that the Cowboys otherwise should have been in. You're kidding me, right? Like, who approved that? Somebody somewhere had to approve that.
2 common turnovers.
I'm pulling up the tweet now. I mean, and this could be some low-level staffer for the Dallas Cowboys. At some point, somebody has to go, hey, but for why did you do that?
Right. Why are you
why
throwing shade at our quarterback?
The exact tweet was Dak Prescott gave away the ball twice in the narrow loss to the 49ers. In a matchup the Cowboys had a chance to win if they didn't generate self-inflicted wounds. Awesome.
I mean, I hear no lies.
And I don't disagree with that. It would be one thing if we tweeted that. If we put that out there, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yes.
We're paid for our opinions. You're paid by the Dallas Cowboys. That's your employer. And there's nothing you can do to get away from Dak.
No.
Can we stop with this they should be shopping Dak Prescott thing? Please tell me who on the planet Earth would give them even a bag of footballs for Dak Prescott.
But he's a good quarterback. Yeah, but again, I'm going to use that age-old line, is he a winner? Because there's not a single team in the NFL that looks at him and goes, yep, that's the guy I want to take me to a Super Bowl. Dak Prescott is the kind of quarterback that you go out and get if you just want to be mediocre.
Dak Prescott is Kirk Cousins, is Derek Carr, is every mediocre quarterback in the league. That's not the problem. The problem is that the Dallas Cowboys cannot get out of their own way. This is a microcosm of your franchise in a nutshell because you have old Jared Jones that can't stop doing his little radio show and can't stop talking to the media, and you're America's team. And so you're constantly under this microscope. Now, let me ask you a question. If the New York Giants social media pages had tweeted out that same thing about Daniel Jones, would we be talking about it today?
No.
I'm going to say no. New York, maybe, just because New York's a crazy media market and we would look at that and go, well, that's probably in poor taste, but that's old hat because, yes, Daniel Jones was one of the reasons you lost.
Right.
But it's the Dallas Cowboys
and
who
it's
are
your
under this
franchise quarterback
that you're stuck with.
Right.
And you're under this microscope because we talk about you ad nauseum. And you know why we talk about you ad nauseum? Because you keep making us do it. I mean, do you see anything wrong with this? Because you seem to be just nodding at me like I'm not even surprised.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I mean, what was it? The social media team. Everybody went crazy when the social media team left Dak Prescott out of the sizzle reel at the beginning of the season.
And that's kind of my point, is that you've already done this once.
Yeah.
And you know that everybody's looking at everything you do. And I saw Stephen Tao in the comments say, well, it had already been screenshotted. It'd be pointless to take down. And I don't agree with, or I don't disagree with that from the us talking about it standpoint. I'm looking at it from the Dak standpoint of you don't even actually think you did anything wrong here, do you?
Mm-hmm.
You think this is just perfectly fine, that it's on me. It's everything is Dak Prescott's fault.
Isn't it, though?
I would say yes, except I don't know what else you expected.
No.
At what point does somebody do something repeatedly and you expect them to do something different they don't? How is that their fault?
Yeah, it's not that you're expecting anything different. It's just, I mean, facts don't care about your feelings, Dak. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, here's my thing. If you get roadhoused on domestic lights and you ask the dog to drive you home, don't be shocked when the dog doesn't do it, because that's not what the dog does. If you're expecting Dak Prescott to lead you to a Super Bowl, then, okay, A, you're delusional, and B, that leads to tweets like this.
But you have to.
You don't have to do anything. In life, you have to pay taxes and die. That's it. End of message, repeat the line.
No, but as a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, you kind of have to believe that Dak's going to take you because it's your team, and you want to believe that he's going to take you to a Super Bowl.
Okay, so I'm going to take what you just said, and I'm going to say that you have missed the sucking ears times, and you have been brainwashed by the Brady times. Because I, as a Jets fan, will tell you that I have never had a belief that my team was going to do anything but piddle in my punch bowl. So, no, I don't think fans have to have this belief. I mean, maybe that's why I'm so angry all the time. I don't know.
100% it's why you're so angry all the time. I mean, again, there's a reason that they call them fans. Fan is short for fanatic, and you're going to believe stupid things. Everybody wants to believe that their team has a shot at the beginning of the season. Everybody wants to believe that their quarterback can take them to a Super Bowl. Yeah.
I mean,
you should know. You should know by now.
And I'm sure everybody wants to play center for the New York Knicks. It doesn't mean that it makes any sense.
Of course, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense.
You're 5'7". I mean, I don't think you even have any misgivings of. At some point, you have to be realistic. This was a win of a season for the Dallas Cowboys. And yet, 2 days. We are 2 days removed from you being eliminated from the playoffs. And it is anarchy, Stuart Little, the sky is falling. Do you not realize that part of this is why you are who you are? There are 7 teams in the NFL that have been to a conference championship game less recently than you have. 7. That's a quarter of the league. You're not America's team. You're America's laughingstock. And the fact that you keep steering into this and your delusion, I said this on the social medias over the weekend. Really be honest with yourself about the Cowboys. Every poll we do in the media, this is the most hated team in America. Why? There's not one player on this team to hate. I don't find Dak Prescott to be hateable. He's way overpaid for what he does, but it's not his fault. He got what the market bore out. Ezekiel Elliott is washed. I don't hate him for that. I don't feel like he's one of those hateable players. It has nothing to do with the team. It all has to do with that star and Jerry Jones and all of this turmoil that you have put on yourself. And so when you do things like this, don't be shocked when people like us go, yeah, it's same old Cowboys. Same old Cowboys. And this is what you will be until you learn the game has changed. Jera, this is a whole new world. And it's not ironic that you have won exactly 0 in this new era.
See, if I go anywhere, we will never win a Super Bowl because blank, Jerry Jones.
No doubt. Not
it's Jerry
close.
Jones, and that to me, that's where the buck stops, and it always has. In the Tony Romo years, in the Dak Prescott years, it does not matter who's on this team. To me, it all ends with Jerry Jones. He just can't help himself. He is the ultimate carnival barker. He is out there telling you that his team is the latest and the greatest, and this is the year that we're gonna do it. Now, do you want the opposite? Do you want an owner to go out there and just be like, guys, we suck, and we're going to suck for a while, and it's going to be a rough road? No, you don't. But you also don't need him pumping everybody's heads full of these fairy tales.
So they won a Super Bowl in 1995, in the 95 season. So the game was actually played in 1996.
Okay.
Since then, they've had 10-plus win seasons. Do you know how many times they've won less than 6 games? Total.
2.
It's 4, and 3 of them were in a row.
There you go.
This is actually one of the most consistent franchises in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, because you have, I'll use your words, the ultimate carnival barker in Jerry Jones, you take what should be a building season and you blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because now this is what we're going to talk about. And you did this. I've seen a couple people in the comments say, if Dak doesn't throw those interceptions, the game's completely different. And I 100% understand that. I get that. One of those interceptions was just a bad decision, and the other was just a bad throw. It could have happened to any quarterback. It could have happened to Brock Purdy just as easily as it happened to Dak Prescott. Why do we hold this so much against him? And there's only 2 reasons. The money and the Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That is it. And that is why, as I'm looking down this, from Troy Aikman to Quincy Carter to Vinny Testaverde to Tony Romo to John Kitna to Matt Castle to Dak Prescott, it's all the same story, and it's just lather, rinse, repeat. And yet that's Dak Prescott's fault. Do you see how I have a really hard time wrapping my brain around that?
Sure. Call it unfair. Because that's what it is.
Because much like I said with the New England Patriots, all you're doing is recasting the real world every year. And every year, it looks a little different, but the tenor's exactly the same. Because it's still the same flawed premise that it's been the entire time. And that is the issue with the Dallas Cowboys.
You are in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Next weather maker bringing half-inch rains to Asheville tomorrow and some gusty winds. There's some high wind warnings up for some of the mountain peaks to our west for tonight and Wednesday morning. 35 degrees in the valley tonight, increasing clouds. Half-inch rains Wednesday morning, mainly high 55 and breezy south winds. Then turning colder again for Thursday, high 40, low Thursday night, 24. I'm meteorologist Scott Lauriamore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need to get organized this year at amazing savings. Right now, get up to 50% off select folders, file cabinets, file boxes, and storage bins. In-store only, offer ends 1/28. Make this year your year with Staples, the working and learning store.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Of course, your favorite station is on the free iHeartRadio app. Take us with you anywhere and listen anytime. Plus, get thousands of other stations and playlists all free. Download our free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
iHeartRadio.
If cleanliness is next to godliness, look around the car right now. Is that very godly? Look, life comes at you fast, but so does WBNC Auto Detailing. They have the tools to make your interior look like it's coming off the showroom floor. You don't believe me? Check them out on Instagram. All that filth and years of stains disappear. WBNC Auto Detailing does full interior and exterior details with paint correction, and they do wax and ceramic coatings. Call WBNC Auto Detailing at 455-3700. Premium care with a Southern hospitality touch.
Welcome to Harvest Farms, where the best organic or natural products are waiting for you, where the fields are filled with flavorful delights, and every bite is backed with the highest quality and attention. This is a place of affordable organic adventure, where freshness reigns supreme, that can only be found at Ingles. Harvest Farms Organics. You'll love what's inside.
I believe real estate isn't about properties. It's about people. I'm Clarissa Hyatt-Zach with eXp Realty, serving all of Western North Carolina. Navigating the home buying and selling journey can feel overwhelming at times, and that's why having an agent who cares about you and your needs is key. I'm a native of Western North Carolina, and I close over a home a week. I'm an expert in the market, pricing my sellers correctly to net you the most money, and working as a skilled negotiator for my buyers. Please give me a call today at 828-774-6343 to set up a complimentary market analysis.
Boy, you must be outside your mind.
The Sportsocracy.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
Welcome back into the Sportsocracy. Time to get just a bit outside, and the FBI is now being called to Jamaica. Well, I don't know if they're actually going to Jamaica. I'm sure there will be some boots on the ground, so to speak, but they're going down to Jamaica to help out with the investigation of this Usain Bolt story. Now, it's not just him, but he was one of the main figures in basically just a 13-year scam that was perpetrated inside the biggest bank down there. Stocks and Securities Limited in Kingston is being investigated, if you haven't heard this story, because over a 13-year period, millions upon millions upon millions of dollars went missing, including from the Jamaican government, like all of these different, like their versions of like Homeland Security and Social Security, and they had money in this Stocks and Securities Limited, and it's been pilfered over the years. Usain Bolt has lost an estimated $12.7 million in this scheme, to the point where his bank account is now down to $12,000.
Here's my question, and obviously financial crimes and things like that are horrible. How do you fall for this? So I just watched the Bernie Madoff documentary on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fall for this?
Fall for what?
So you give these people your money, and then you have no access to seeing it. Because if the money has disappeared, there's only so many financial documents you can go down before they run out of paper. In a world where I can literally tell you my net worth to the penny in a commercial break, I will never understand how these things still work.
Well, look, when you have that
you're
much
trusting
money,
people, and you know what? They build relationships, and I feel bad for people like this. Maybe it's because I'm so unbelievably cynical that I don't trust anybody anyway. If I hand you a $20 bill, in my head, that 20 is never coming back ever. I might as well have set it on fire, which is why my wife handles all of my finances.
but it's also, I mean, you're comparing, apples and kumquats here. Like there's no comparison. When you have Usain Bolt type money, when you have millions of dollars, I feel like it would be easier to lose track.
Look who you're talking
of
to.
Balance. I don't know.
You do realize I'm marrying a financial advisor, right?
I get that.
She tells me this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My clients would never fall for this because they ask for things every single time we do anything. And every time she says that, I go, yeah, that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
If you do anything with my money, I want to know what you did. So how do you just lose $12.5 million?
As long as the money is there every time I want to take some out, I guess you're doing okay. I don't know how this happens. Look, I've never had this much money. I've never been a wealthy person. I've never had a securities person. You told me a story the other day about somebody having a security that was worth $1 billion or something,
Oh, yeah.
and I went, I don't even know what that is.
I didn't either.
They have an alarm system in their house that's worth $12 billion? What is that?
No, it's
not how that works.
It's also not what I said. You embellished that a little bit.
Of course I did. It's all for the story. But what I'm saying is, like, I have no clue. So I can easily see how somebody like Usain Bolt would go, I have all this monies. Here, you handle it, and I will trust you. And I've had no problems until just recently. Apparently he got the statement or something that said he only had $12,000 left in his bank account, and he went, no, that can't be right. And then they've uncovered this massive scheme that now the entire Jamaican government and now the U.S. government is getting involved, as the FBI has been called in to help out with this. And, they're going to track it down. You can't – I just feel like there's not a way to get away with this. There's a paper trail somewhere or a computer trail.
Well, I feel like my securities is a little better, and that's a slew of mayonnaise jars, some holes in the backyard, and a whole bunch of bangs.
Exactly.
And me. So that's my securities. It's kind of like when you got the Bowser playing Mario. Oh, well, this is going to be a little more difficult than dealing with those turtles. I was going to tell a story about Donald Trump's great senior tour championship at his golf tournament. We don't do politics here.
Okay.
So I'll just give you the highlight. Earlier this week, he said, I am the new senior champion at my golf course. Well, today there's a story that said, well, that's all well and good, except you didn't play in the first round because you were in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So that story kind of...
Who's shocked?
But we don't do politics here, so I'm not going to do that.
Who's shocked?
They have announced
I'm the best golfer. I'm a beautiful golfer.
Huge golfer. Everything.
Never sliced.
Never been over par. They have announced the singers for the Super Bowl, and I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty intrigued. So we already knew Rihanna was doing the halftime show.
Yes, and I can't
wait.
wait.
Yes, Tank.
I can't wait.
Yeah, Tank. That Tank's way more invested in that than I am. Than even I am in the game.
Do you remember J-Lo Shakira?
Yes, and my expectation for this is at least 5 steps below that.
No, not a chance.
Country music star Chris Stapleton will sing the national anthem, and Babyface is performing "America the Beautiful."
One I get, the other I
totally get both.
Really?
If Jeremy Greene was in charge of booking the Super Bowl festivities, I'm not sure that you didn't hit 2 of the 3 that I would have picked. Chris Stapleton doing the national anthem, no doubt.
That's the one I get.
The only way that I would have done anything different, because I love Babyface too, the only way I would have done anything different here is I'd have had Luke Combs playing the halftime show.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been the only change that Jeremy had. Other than that, we're good. And as the gambler of this here program, take the over on whatever they put on Chris Stapleton. I don't care if it's the biggest number in the history of the national anthem. Over. I love the guy. There is no shot that this doesn't go 3 full minutes.
That's a very long.
There is no shot. Somebody that's got that level of voice singing the national anthem, this is not going to be Carl Lewis.
No.
Red Bank on Thursday. You're not getting any of that.
I completely get the Chris Stapleton.
By the way, it's really easy to do Carl Lewis when your voice is completely shot.
It's Babyface that I don't understand.
But for why do you not get that?
How is he relevant?
Who said he was? Nobody said he's relevant today. This is channeling back to people from the 90s. This is like, so you got Chris Stapleton that's super relevant right now.
Okay.
You got Rihanna that's super relevant right now. And then you hearken back to days gone by. Absolutely. It's a home run.
Well, then we should get Michael Bolton or something. Like,
nobody.
It makes as much sense as Babyface to me.
Oh, in the comments, please explain to him why Michael Bolton makes no sense. Michael Bolton doesn't even look like the same person anymore.
Is Babyface even still making music?
I think he's producing things more than he's actually actively making, and I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that.
Okay. It just seemed odd to me. I saw Babyface, and I went, well,
okay,
let's just have Blackstreet do the halftime show.
I would be in for that as well, by the way.
And the remaining members of TLC can beatbox the national anthem.
I'm in for that as well. Yep. All right, so I have to ask because now I'm really curious. If you had your dream halftime show, who would it be?
Oh, dream
any
show.
act, and I mean, I feel like they have to be alive. I think that's
that would help. Sure.
I mean, I feel like you can't give me.
I mean, my dream halftime show.
That's exactly. You see how he just said that? That's exactly why I asked this question.
I'm going Full Metalhead concert. Like I want to like
Ozzy Osbourne.
No, I'm not going old school. I would probably go like Five Finger Death Punch, something relevant. What?
I mean, I like Five Finger Death Punch. But I don't necessarily know that is nationally relevant, but okay.
That's fine. All the other stuff that I wouldn't even put it out there because I know it's so far off the map for people.
Oh, you know what? Jonathan Welch got this right.
What'd he say?
There's a really easy answer here.
What?
It's Creed playing the halftime show. Let's go.
Let's
go. Can you take me higher? Let's go.
I'd rather have Metallica play.
Oh, Creed's better than Metallica. It's not close. That's not even debatable.
You're insane.
Did you see that Scott Stapp is playing Frank Sinatra in a biopic about Ronald Reagan's life?
No, he's not.
Those are words that I got sent that in a tweet, and I responded with, I know every one of those words. And now that you have put them in this order, that's probably my favorite tweet of all time. And it's also led to so many questions. It's coming out next year.
But for why?
Yeah, it's I can't remember who it is that's playing Reagan.
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. I was thinking Randy Quaid, and nope, that's the crazy one. Dennis Quaid is the one that.
This has been in the works for a while.
Oh yeah.
I just Googled it, and it brought up a story from December of 2020 that Scott Stapp had been. How did we miss this? And two, why?
I have no idea. I just want to know how there was a movie production meeting and somebody looked at somebody else and went, okay, I got an idea, and it's going to sound a little crazy when I say it, but take the journey with me. We're going to do a movie about Ronald Reagan that was a politician, and in it, we're going to have a slew of guest appearances from celebrities of the time. And to play Frank Sinatra, Scott Stapp. Who's Scott Stapp? The crazy guy from Creed. And a whole room of people went, let's do it. I'm in. Let's do it. I think it's a great idea.
And then they saw side-by-side pictures and went, oh.
How are we supposed to make Scott Stapp look like Frank Sinatra? How good are the makeup people?
He actually does. The story that I picked up here has got a split screen. Half of it is Frank Sinatra's face. Half of it is Scott Stapp's face. It's actually not that far off.
Yeah, and you know what? Frank Sinatra, one of the greatest lyricists of all time. Scott Stapp, one of the greatest lyricists of all time. And no big deal.
Weird.
I get it. Makes sense. Just works.
You're in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be doing the future power rankings. So this is for the next 5 years. What your NFL, where does your NFL team rank?
And this is an analytical formula.
Yeah, Jeremy worked his little formula here that ranks all of the teams by their rosters, by their coaching staff, by their front offices.
And the front office is the last 10 years. That's not my formula. ESPN did a breakdown of where every team in the NFL ranked drafting over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's no opinion in that.
Okay.
There is also no opinion in draft capital for this draft.
Yes, draft capital factors into it, and your quarterback situation factors in. Where does your team rank right now as far as your quarterback goes?
And so the quarterback side of this is really the most variable part. The coaches, there are 5 openings in the NFL. So the teams that don't have a coach, we put you at 22 because historically 70% of coaching hires do not work out within 4 years. So that would put you somewhere in the Arthur Smith range. So that's the number we just universally gave you.
Okay.
If Denver gets Sean Payton, obviously theirs would be propped up. But I ran all of those simulations as well, and I can tell you what each one would do to each team.
So he's gone through, he's totaled all of these up, came up with the averages or whatever, the point totals, and it's like golf, lowest score ranks you highest, right?
And one team is 24 points below every other team in the NFL.
Below them.
Yes.
Like worst team unequivocally.
No, best team.
Oh, best team.
Worst team. It's just like golf. Lowest score wins. So they are 23 points clear of every other team in the NFL.
Wow.
Because they have an all-timer head coach, they have a great quarterback, and they draft historically well.
Mm-hmm. So we've ranked them all 1 through 32, and over the next 2 hours, we are going to bring you the next 5 years power rankings of the NFL. And there are some that I mean, okay, fine, the metrics say so, but I'm not buying this team as a Super Bowl contender or, on the flip side, as one of the worst teams over the next 5 years in the NFL. But it's what the numbers say. It's what the rankings say. And we'll give you the next 5 years power rankings coming up after the top of the hour.
Tank did not like where his team comes in.
I was fine with where my team came in.
And if you've ever
because
thought
actually I had them lower on my ranking than they came out in the analytical ranking.
And if you ever think that Jeremy does not abide by his own rule of #NoHomer, my team gets said way earlier than you would think. And there's a reason, and we'll tell you what that is.
That's right. You are in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. Where does your team come in? Do you hate the rankings? Do you like the rankings? Should there be more categories added to it? You can hit us up in the YouTube comments. Just go to thesportsocracy.com. Click that live video link. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
And you can throw your comment for, has there ever been a better casting job in the history of movies than Creed frontman Scott Stapp to play Frank Sinatra? Because I would vote no.
Yes, Tank Spencer as soccer goalie. That was better.
Would have been better as kid who peed his pants on the bus at Billy Madison, but we've been over that.
Sure. We will take a quick break, and then when we come back, Jeremy have his bangers for the night.
Real estate isn't about properties, it's about people. I'm Clarissa Hyatt-Zack with eXp Realty, your native realtor serving all of Western North Carolina. I will work hard for you, and I believe in doing the right thing every time. I market each of my listings to reach out-of-town buyers. I use a professional photographer and drone video on every single listing, as well as collaborate with agents across the country to find your buyer. Check me out online at clarissasellswnc.com or give me a call at 828-774-6343. It would be my pleasure to assist you through the real estate process.
Since man created roads, they've been looking for ways to get off-road and vehicles to take them there. That's where Outlaw Off-Road comes in. A premier off-road center for Jeeps, trucks, and SUVs with a complete lineup of off-road and overland services, including maintenance and repair to make your vehicle all that it can be. Check out their location right here in Western North Carolina at 85 Avery Creek Road. Call them today at 828-974-8480 or visit them on the web at theoutlawoffroad.com.
When I finally drove the old car into the grave, I knew there was only one place I was going to go. Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville, home of the family plan. And yes, they treat you like family. I went in, told them what I was looking for, told them my budget, and in no time, I was signing the paperwork on my certified pre-owned vehicle. They have the area's largest selection on quality pre-owned vehicles and certified Nissans. They go through a 167-point inspection, so you know it's not going to let you down. They gave me the Carfax report, so I know the history of my vehicle. And the Fred Anderson family plan gives me things like oil changes and car washes and loaner cars if I have to have major work done on the car in the future. For me, buying a car has always been an intimidating thought. But the folks at Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville made it super easy. Don't be like me. Don't wait till the last minute to get a deal done. Go to AndersonNissan.com. or stop by the showroom at 629 Brevard Road. And don't forget to mention we sent you from the Sportsocracy and get a $250 bonus on your trade-in at Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Streaming only on Peacock. From the mind of Ryan Johnson, the writer-director of Knives Out.
Miss Gale, you've got this gift. Always knowing the truth.
I only know if something is alive. The real trick of it is to figure out why.
Natasha Lyonne is Charlie Cale.
It wasn't an accident. I think there's been a murder.
You watch too much Dateline.
A new 10-part mystery series.
Wolves on my fender. I gotta keep moving. I have been kind of a death magnet.
Poker Face, streaming January 26th, only on Peacock.
Shop limited time deals at the Truckload event at Lowe's, happening now. Save big on your favorites across the store. During this event, get up to 50% off select tools and accessories. Plus, find the perfect floor tile for your home for less. Get up to 50% off select styles while you can. Head to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowes.com to shop the Truckload event today. Valid 12/29 through 1/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowes.com for details. Discount taken at time of purchase.
For more information about contests on the station, log on to ESPNAVL.com.
Coffee still closes on. Get them the money. Then when you get the money, you get the power. That watch costs more than your car. Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
I'm Jeremy Greene, and this is Greene on Greene. As always, brought to you by Ingles Markets. Low prices, love the savings. Last night, I finally won more than 2 games, 3-2. And here's a phrase that I never thought I'd say out loud. Duke got hosed by the officials last night. 13.4 seconds to go. Duke forward Kyle Filipowski takes an inadvertent throat punch on a celebration from Michael Collins Jr. Well, here's the thing. I don't care if you meant to do it or not. You still punch somebody in the throat. At the very least, it's a flagrant 1, probably a flagrant 2, and that's the first time I've ever seen Duke get hosed by officials. Enough complaining. On to the games tonight. Clemson is a 10.5-point favorite against Georgia Tech. What number do you really need here? Georgia Tech is 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 on the road. This Georgia Tech team is horror awful, and Clemson is borderline impossible to beat at home. Give me the Tigers minus 10.5. Busy slate in college basketball. That's the only number I really like. On to the pros. The Chicago Bulls are a 1-point favorite tonight at home against the Indiana Pacers. Chicago's 7-2 against the spread in their last 9, and Indiana still doesn't have Tyrese Halliburton, which means they're horror awful and unwatchable. Don't watch this game. Just throw a doubloon or 2, minus the 1 on the Bulls. They'll cover easily. And finally, my favorite pick of the night, the Dallas Mavericks are a 7.5-point favorite tonight, over under 226.5. Fresh off trading one of their only volume scorers, Rui Hachimura, to the Los Angeles Lakers, the Wizards travel to Dallas, and, well, they're really bad on the road. And when I say really bad, I mean really bad. So I'm taking Dallas minus the 7.5. That part's easy. The weird part is this over-under feels aggressively low to me with 2 teams that play fast. Oh, yeah, and neither one of them rebounds well, which means you'll see a lot of second-chance points. You'll see a lot of easy baskets. Give me the over 226.5. For more, follow us on all the social medias at The Sportsocracy. And as always, Greene on Greene is brought to you by Ingles Markets. Love the savings with Ingles. Love the winnings with me. Mull it out.
Go and do likewise, gents. The money's out there. You pick it up, it's yours. You don't, I got no sympathy for you.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Next weather maker bringing half-inch rains to Asheville tomorrow and some gusty winds. There's some high wind warnings up for some of the mountain peaks to our west for tonight and Wednesday morning. 35 degrees in the valley tonight, increasing clouds. Half-inch rains Wednesday morning, mainly high 55 and breezy south winds. Then turning colder again for Thursday, high 40, low Thursday night, 24. I'm meteorologist Scott Lauriamore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This report is sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech. This winter, there are new COVID-19 booster shots designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. If it's been at least 2 months since your primary series or original booster, schedule your updated COVID-19 booster dose at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Jackson Hewitt gets you your biggest tax refund guaranteed, plus a chance to double your refund or win weekly prizes with their Double Your Refund sweepstakes. File your taxes on the double. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Ends 4/2/23.
Your passion is NFL football. Your access is total. Every weekday, NFL Total Access hits you with uncut.
He can't be stopped.
Uncensored.
I love that.
And unapologetic takes on all things NFL.
That's how crazy it is.
We go beyond what happened to tell you how it happened and what happens now.
Those are the facts.
On the field, inside the huddle, and under the helmet. This is NFL Total Access, the podcast. Listen weekdays on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Sportsocracy.
One thing that you're going to have to remember, one most important factor, is to protect your quarterback, me.
From the Ingles Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart Radio Station.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. White Sox pitcher Mike Clevinger under investigation by Major League Baseball for violating its domestic violence policy. It's stemming from allegations made by a woman who accused Clevinger of physical and emotional abuse toward his 3 children and their 2 mothers, including herself. Clevinger's agent could not be reached for comment. 49ers defensive lineman Charles Omenihu, a key member of the team's D-line, arrested yesterday after a domestic violence allegation. The team says it's aware of the matter and is gathering more information. NBA, the Nets will be without Kevin Durant at least 2 more weeks as he continues his recovery from a sprained MCL. As KD progresses well in his recovery, Brooklyn hoping for Kyrie Irving's dominance to continue, says ESPN's Jalen Rose.
And not just scoring the ball. We know he's as dynamic as it gets, handling the ball, scoring the ball, jumping off of both feet. But the playmaking, making people around him better, dropping it off to Claxton, making the game easier for him. The leadership.
Brooklyn's currently 4th in the Eastern Conference. Lakers listing LeBron James questionable tonight versus the Clippers with ankle soreness.
When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Pay. That's pay. Enter it now.
Log on now to ESPNAVL.com. And good luck from ESPN Asheville.
He's a degenerate gambler.
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
And he's cheaper than oxygen.
He's useless.
But somehow, they make it work. Jeremy Greene, Tank Spencer. There's no holding back in the Sportsocracy. Presented by Ingles Supermarkets and Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville.
And welcome into the Sportsocracy. It's ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sportsocracy, always heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Yes, you can take us with you everywhere you go for absolutely free. Just download the iHeartRadio app on your smartphone. Take us with you everywhere you go. And if you get a new or a certified pre-owned car from Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville, you'll have the nice little Bluetooth set up in the car like I do now. You can listen to iHeartRadio everywhere you go. You can also see us everywhere on YouTube. Just go to thesportsocracy.com, click that live video link, subscribe to the channel. You can join us in the chat. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday, and you go, well, there are only 4 teams left in the playoffs. So are we really doing a power ranking of 4 teams? No. This week we are doing the futures power rankings. Over the next 5 years, where does your NFL team come in? Jeremy's got the algorithm. He's worked all the numbers. Lowest score wins. When you take into the account the ranking of your franchise when it comes to the roster, the coaching staff, the front office, draft capital this year, and your quarterback, all that factored in, who's got the best outlook for the next 5 years? Just like all the usual power rankings, we will start at the bottom.
We're like Drake. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
At number 32,
the Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos, who, well, I mean, the quarterback situation, it didn't really go the way they wanted it to this year. Russell Wilson taking the step back. They don't have a head coach right now. How did you do that? How did you give a score for teams that don't have a head coach?
So as I went down the list, there were a handful of coaches that I went, you're not good at this. Dennis Allen. And so they got a lower grade.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the teams that did not have a coach got a 22.
Okay.
There's 32 teams in the league. Statistically speaking, about 70% of head coaching hires do not work out within 4 years. So that just seemed like the fairest way to do it. Now with Denver, if you were to hire Sean Payton, you would go from 32 to about 25.
Okay.
Because, yes, Sean Payton does fix some things, because obviously having a head coach is a really big deal. The thing he doesn't fix is that you are tied to let's ride, and you don't have any money. You have I think the roster is okay. It's nothing to really write home about.
I would say it's a pretty good young roster.
Yeah, but then you get into you gave up the number 5 pick in the draft. I mean, if you had that and you had those things to build around, you'll see how important that is really soon.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would feel better. But, okay, so you hire Sean Payton. What exactly is he supposed to do in a year? I mean, yeah, he makes the offense better. All right, I get that. Are you going to go from the worst offense in NFL history to top 10?
No,
because
but
I'm going to say no.
But I don't need to.
No, you do, because you play in a conference, or you play in a division with Justin Herbert and Pat Mahomes.
To win a Super Bowl, sure, but to be a relevant team again, the only thing this team has to do is score an average of 22 points a game. You score 22 points a game, and your defense isn't going to give up much.
And see, to me, that's one of those, you're making the stats say what you want them to, because you played a very bad schedule outside of the division this year. So, I mean, look, I like some of the defense. I think some of that was a little bit of smoke and mirrors, because you got to understand, when teams realize you can't score, they're not going to come out and go high flying on you.
They're going to take their best shots off the table.
Don't turn the ball all over. That's it. That's all you can do. So I think that's a little misleading. When you have that much money committed to a quarterback, and I don't know what he is, I mean, where would you put, and I was trying to be as nice here as I possibly could, where would you put Russell Wilson among quarterbacks in the NFL?
15-ish?
Yeah, that's too high for me. 15's Dak Prescott, just so you know. Who would you rather have, Russell Wilson or Dak Prescott? Because for me, it's not close.
Mm-hmm.
I had him at 22.
Seems low, but I get it. I mean, it was a historically bad year this year.
Jack in our YouTube comment said 43rd.
43rd.
I think you're probably closer than either one of us.
I'm not there. I'm not to the Russ is completely cooked stage. It was a bad year. You had a bad head coach.
Historically bad.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Historically bad for a middle-aged quarterback. That I long said, I mean, if you remember, I didn't say this year was going to be this bad. I said this deal is going to age poorly because I don't think Russ is going to age well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just took the youngest year off the deal, and you were horror-awful, which is apparently the word of the day.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
So that kind of makes me think this is not good.
All right. Denver Broncos coming in at number 32. Number 31.
The New Orleans Saints.
But the defense is so good.
Not this year, it wasn't. I mean, how many teams in the NFL have less cap space than the New Orleans Saints?
None.
It's one. Your team.
Really? They passed us?
Yeah.
God, they were like negative $50 million.
Yeah, they still are. You're just 55.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah. That's without a quarterback, by the way. You're in good shape. Don't worry. We don't have to wait long for your team to be announced here.
No, you don't. You would have already heard it if it was on my list. Yes, they were 32 on my list.
And the problem with New Orleans is they fall into the same boat. They're in the exact opposite boat of Denver. I feel like the talent on the roster is okay. I don't know how you're going to get a quarterback because you have no money.
Mm-hmm.
You have no draft capital. So the best case scenario, and trust me, I played this out, is that New Orleans just tanks into the ocean next year. And they're 2-15, and you wind up in play for Caleb Williams, Quinn Ewers, Drake May, and even then, that takes you halfway through this exercise before they're high-level NFL competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, I don't know who the coach is going to be. I don't know where anything is.
You got to fix the coach.
Now you're projecting so far down that you might as well be throwing darts at a board.
Right.
And that gets difficult.
Because who's going to be left? We know Chris Olave is going to be left, but will Alvin Kamara still be on this roster in 2 to 3 years? There's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, and you have a lot of expensive pieces at less than pivotal places. Jack in the YouTube comments asked, how would I have fixed the quarterback room for the Saints? I can tell you that really honestly. I'd have drafted Sam Howell last year. Do you not think you'd feel better right now? Do you not think Washington feels better right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because you at least have hope. And it's rare that those happen. It is not often that, to me, the best quarterback in the class goes in the 5th round. You got to take those opportunities when they come along. I mean, that's Ron Wolf value-based drafting to the highest degree. But now you're at the mercy of a team that has a young guy or trying to take a shot at an Anthony Richardson or a Jaron Hall or somebody like that. And you talk about low accuracy propositions.
Still better than Ian Book.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. You want me to tell you how to really fix it? Stop wasting second-day picks on Ian Book. That would help.
At number 30.
Fire them cannons, by golly. Put more powder in them things.
I am going to miss Gene Deckerhoff, but we'll always have the
You know what you're
soundbite.
really going to miss? Winning, because you're not going to do it for a real long time.
And I'm, been there, done that.
The only thing that gives you slightly more hope than the two below you have pieces that are auctionable.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay could just put a yard sale sign in the front yard and go, make your best offer.
And we have more draft capital.
You do the New Orleans because they gave up theirs this year.
Mm-hmm. And Denver.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. At least you've got the first round draft pick that you can use on a quarterback if you feel that is the need. I would prefer not to. I would go ahead and just blow it up. Get what you can get out of this team. Let's move on. Let's draft high next year. Get a quarterback. You don't even have to be the worst team. I don't need Caleb Williams.
No. I need to be the worst team. And trust me, as we go down this process, you'll see how important that is, because the two teams that received those two picks, the one from the Saints and the one from the Broncos and the one from the Rams, they're way higher on this list than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they have control and they can do whatever they want.
Right. Number 29.
The Green Bay Packers.
Now, is this assuming Aaron Rodgers does not return?
Yes. Now, I did not put Aaron Rodgers anywhere. And to me, there are two landing spots. And when we get to those teams, I will tell you how big of a difference Aaron Rodgers would make.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Of course.
But with Green Bay, I'm having to assume that you're going into this with Jordan Love, which then I have to take all of your other assets and go, this makes every one of them lesser.
Mm-hmm.
Now Aaron Jones is less valuable. Now A.J. Dillon is less valuable. Christian Watson is less valuable because I have no belief in Jordan Love whatsoever. And you can keep throwing me the lip service of he's ready to take over. Mm-hmm. I don't believe you. And you know what makes me not believe you? Because I have eyes and I've seen him play, and it's not good. And without Aaron Rodgers, you're in for 3 years of really, really ugly. The cap hit is going to hurt. But I will tell you a story about the Green Bay Packers.
Mm-hmm.
if they trade Aaron Rodgers for what the story is out today they're looking for, it would boost them into the low 20s because it's 2 ones.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's going to give you that. I think it's baby with the bathwater. You get close to what – because if you remember when they traded Brett Favre to the Jets, it was a conditional 4 that could have become a 1. My thought is that if they trade Rodgers, it would be a no doubt 1 this year.
Yes.
So 12 from the Titans, 13 from the Jets. And then that conditional 4 that can become a 1 because you're going to have to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's absolutely nothing that would keep Aaron Rodgers from going, yeah, you know what, I don't. So I'm getting
So it's an if he's still on the roster, if we make the playoffs, if all these escalators.
Because what you have to remember is that anybody that would take him on is also taking on that headache that you're getting rid of.
Mm-hmm.
This almost becomes like an NBA deal where I'm getting 40% of the value because I'm giving you my headache. And that's what leads to Green Bay being here. They're very volatile. Very volatile.
I see no problems with this. Because here's the thing. You turn this over to Jordan Love, I give it 2 years max. 2 years max. And then you're going to have to blow everything up. No more Aaron Jones, no more A.J. Dillon, no more
I'm not sure you're not
going to
have to. I'm not sure you're not going to do that anyway. Because Green Bay is 1 year removed from the salary cap hell that the New Orleans Saints and Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in.
They won't have another season like this year and retain Matt LaFleur. I can guarantee you that.
No, I'm looking at Green Bay going, you have Blippier written all over you, and the fact that there has been a new news story out about Aaron Rodgers every single day. Who wants you to know that? Aaron goes on the Pat McAfee show every week.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he wants you to know, he's saying it out loud. You know, that's one thing I will give Aaron Rodgers. He puts his face to it. This is the information I want you to have because I'm going on the most popular show in the country once a week. Everything else, you kind of have to read the tea leaves. And there is a very open courtship right now between Aaron Rodgers and a team in the NFL that we will get to momentarily.
All right, last one in the bottom 5 here before the break, the number 28 team.
And this one's going to shock people. The Tennessee Titans.
See my face? See how shocked I am?
You are Gnarls Barkley at quarterback.
Yes.
You are a historically bad drafting franchise. And all of your assets are allocated into bad places. You're spending a lot of money at running back. You don't really have any skill position guys. So this has been one of the rumors on Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. Those two, first of all, Derek Carr has no trade clause. He will go where he wants, period, end of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Why would anybody look at that roster and go, oh, yeah, that's what I want to do, with Robert Woods and Treylon Burks? There's a lot of work to be done. Now, I do like how they have built out the front office. I think there is hope there. But I kind of need to see your direction because outside of head coach, you don't really have a positive in any of these 5 categories. That's why you're so low.
Mm-hmm.
And now if you had Aaron Rodgers, they would get into the back teens.
Now, the roster's got some major questions, obviously, at quarterback. Derrick Henry's getting older and just, a stone's throw away from the end of his career. Because let's be honest, 30-plus-year-old running backs, especially big physical ones, don't tend to age well. Yeah, you got a lot to do. You got a lot to do as the Tennessee Titans. So there's your bottom 5. Tennessee Titans, Green Bay Packers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, and the Denver Broncos. According to the algorithms,
Fields are filled with flavorful delights, and every bite is backed with the highest quality and attention. This is a place of affordable organic adventure, where freshness reigns supreme, that can only be found at Ingles. Harvest Farms Organics. You'll love what's inside.
I believe real estate isn't about properties. It's about people. I'm Clarissa Hyatt-Zack with eXp Realty, serving all of Western North Carolina. Navigating the home buying and selling journey can feel overwhelming at times, and that's why having an agent who cares about you and your needs is key. I'm a native of Western North Carolina, and I close over a home a week. I'm an expert in the market, pricing my sellers correctly to net you the most money, and working as a skilled negotiator for my buyers. Please give me a call today at 828-774-6343 to set up a complimentary market analysis.
The Sportsocracy.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen. Let's keep moving forward.
Over the next 5 years, how is your NFL team set up for success? It is the look ahead power rankings, the future power rankings here on a Power Ranking Tuesday in the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville. So ranking the roster, coach, quarterback, front office, and the draft capital that your team has for this year, who has the best outlook for the future. We're working our way up to the top. We left off at number 28 with the Tennessee Titans. I know that sounds crazy that they've been a team, well, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs last year, and this year, well, at the end of the season didn't go their way, and they missed out on the playoffs, but
well, you're very unsettled at quarterback. Your new GM has no track record as a drafter, so I really have to go off what you've done over the last few years, and that's not been historically good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tennessee is one, depending on what you do at quarterback, they can buoy a lot, much like the next two teams.
At number 27,
the Carolina Panthers.
The Carolina Panthers with Sam Darnold at quarterback.
And that's the thing about Carolina. You can do a lot of things that can move you a lot because this division is awful.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's say you hire Sean Payton, let's say you bring in, I don't know who at quarterback because none of the veterans really make any sense. There's a lot of variable with Carolina, and that's what pushes them down so far. I have a feeling they will be much higher going into next year, much like the next team that we're going to talk about. But you have got a lot of open questions right now, and there are a lot of weird things that can happen with that team.
The Carolina Panthers have just finished their interview process with Sean Payton, by the way. So I guess there's still a chance.
And Kevin Vick asked us a good question in the chat. Atlanta ahead of us, don't know about that. There's one difference. They have a coach, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you hire a coach, depending on who it is, you could, because they're directly in front of you.
Yeah.
They're not next, but they're not far away either.
No. All the NFC South teams are in a bad spot right now. There's a lot of flux in that division.
And whoever makes the run, because somebody is going to go all in, and I think it's Carolina.
It needs
I think that's why this coaching search is taking so long,
mm-hmm.
and they've gone so many different directions. They're looking for that guy that comes in and just blows the interview out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing that guy is Mike Kafka. Mike Kafka, for those of you that missed it the first time I said it. He's going to get a job somewhere. Just a question of where.
Mm-hmm.
Every team that has talked to him is letting it be well known. That guy is going to be a rock star.
I will not be shocked to see the Carolina Panthers take the biggest swings possible. David Tepper, for all his faults that are there clearly as an owner in the NFL, he's a young owner. He's learning. Yes. He's learning the process. And I get that, he had the history with Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is not a franchise that takes big shots. But I think David is. I think Mr. Tepper's looking at this going, I got a shot. Tampa Bay's in turmoil. New Orleans is in turmoil. Atlanta doesn't really know what they are.
Well, and that's the thing is you look at Atlanta and Tampa Bay and New Orleans, they're in a bind because they went all in. You know what that's going to lead to. We've seen it too many times. You're going to have a talent deficiency for 2 years. So Atlanta and Carolina, I feel like they're two that could fluctuate a lot as well, because depending on where you go, this is not a rebuild. Atlanta has the foundation. You just need a quarterback, and I don't really care I've heard everybody from Justin Fields to Lamar Jackson. Any of those guys, that's an all-in chips to the middle of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, if they go hire Sean Payton, that's an all-in chips to the middle of the table. We're going to dominate this division for 3 years.
Yes.
And one of you is going to do it. We just had to figure out who.
Go get the quarterback. Go get the head coach. David Tepper takes the biggest swings in the offseason. That's my prediction. And the Carolina Panthers, we've been warning you it's coming for the last 2 years. When Tom Brady leaves this division, the Carolina Panthers will rule the roost. And I don't believe that's any different today than it was 2 years ago when we said it.
Nope.
At number 27.
The New York Jets.
The New York Jets. 26. The New York Jets. This is terribly low.
All right, so here's something that I didn't – when I put this algorithm together, I didn't realize that it basically had a fail-safe filter on it of, do you historically boo-boo kitty things?
Mm-hmm.
Because the Jets do, and there's a couple other teams here that are in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really take into effect Joe Douglas. He's only been here 3 years. So he's having 7 years of just horribly terrible, awful drafts held against him. That moves this a little bit, but it also speaks to the franchise. Be honest with yourself. And this is where Jeremy goes full #no homer. The Jets desperately need a quarterback.
Yes.
How long have we been saying that?
Since 1972.
There's a few years in there, the Chad Pennington years, a couple years of Vinny Testaverde, a couple years of Mark Sanchez, a couple years of Richard Todd.
Since 1972.
A couple years of Ken O'Brien. No, all of those guys had years where they were serviceable to good NFL quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of for the long haul, when was the last time you even felt good? And now you have that whole again, 2 years after you took a kid at 2. If you bring in Aaron Rodgers, that's a known quantity. I was really hot on Derek Carr until I realized, do you know what his record is in games that are below 40 degrees when they kick off? 3-14. I'm not.
That's Aaron Rodgers' record?
That's Derek Carr's record.
Derek Carr's record.
In games that at kickoff it's below 40 degrees. That makes me nervous. And I don't feel like you have to hit a home run here because it's a very talented roster. You had one really good draft that I think gave you 4 starters for the long haul. You're also killed against the cap because you have spent aggressively for years. And so there's a lot of flux in that roster too. C.J. Mosley's one of your only Pro Bowlers. He may not be back because there's a possibility that you can't afford him, especially if you go chasing Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a team with a lot of flux that, depending on what you do at quarterback, it can move a lot. But for me to sit here and with a clear conscience say, I feel really good that they're going to get this right, I got 50 years of evidence that say I'm probably not right there.
I get it. But I also look at this roster and go, you have so many young pieces that are, and this past draft was so good that I feel like you got to be higher than this on the list, but I get it.
Go back to 2012, look at the last roster that Rex Ryan had and realize how quick that crashed into the ocean too.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong franchise can crash great talent quick.
That's very true. Very true. All right, so the New York Jets come in at number 26, number 25.
The Arizona Cardinals.
I'm shocked that it worked out that they're ahead of your Jets.
Because they have quarterback. I didn't say he was a great quarterback. You know what he's better than? Mike White and Joe Falco and Chris Streveler.
Mark the tape. It's the first time he's ever talked bad about Mike White.
Well, I mean, Mike White's made of popsicle sticks. All right, you started for us 3 times. You got hurt 3 times. I love you to death. I have one of those sweet Mike White shirts too, but I can't really count on you. Look, I'll use these two because I think this is where you start to see what a known quantity versus, well, it could be blankety blank. The Jets have been historically bad. In terms of roster talent, where would you have the Jets? talent roster in the league?
14?
I had them 11.
Okay.
That's how bad the front office has been. And I don't know what Robert Saleh is.
But before Joe Douglas again.
And some of it's Joe Douglas. Look, Joe Douglas has missed some too. All right. His first draft, you know how many players are still left on the roster? It's 3. That was 3 years ago. And one of them's Denzel Mims, who's got 1 foot on a banana peel and 1 foot in a grave.
Right.
So it's not infallible.
Ashton Davis or whoever that.
Ashton Davis and Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
That's the only 2 left on the roster. So you look at Arizona and go, you've got a quarterback and you've got receiver talent, and I know they're planning on trading DeAndre Hopkins. I get that. You still have talent, but you have a disaster of a front office. And at the end of the day, all of those things steer in the same direction. If the front office is bad, you're probably not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you got the wrong coach, if you got the wrong quarterback, and that's what every team down here has. You're all missing one of those things.
Right. See, that's where I look at the difference between your team and the Arizona Cardinals and go, yeah, but you look at the nucleus of that team and they're all steering in the same direction. Arizona's not the same way. I mean, you've got full-on mutiny happening down there with DeAndre Hopkins, apparently just wanting to be done with all of this, wanting out, and
a lot of that was Cliff Kingsbury.
It's either that or it's the front office wants him gone.
Go back and watch the Hard Knocks thing with Arizona. You'll quickly go, it was a full-on mutiny against Cliff Kingsbury. There's a reason he's in Thailand right now. And it's because he was probably afraid of how much of this was actually going to come out.
Right.
It was exponentially worse than even I thought. They don't have to hit a home run with the coach. They need a competent coach. And I don't think it's Sean Payton, but it could be. I'm really curious how the structure works. The ownership group in the front office is what kills Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They've got talent on this team. But you see a lot of it like Hassan Reddick, who looks like a complete bust, goes to Carolina for a year, then goes to Philadelphia, and he's a Pro Bowler. That's because your entire front office is a train wreck. They identified the talent. You didn't know what to do with it.
You're in the Sportsocracy, and it's ESPN Asheville. We'll pick up with number 23 in the future power rankings of the NFL next.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Next weather maker bringing half-inch rains to Asheville tomorrow and some gusty winds. There's some high wind warnings up for some of the mountain peaks to our west for tonight and Wednesday morning. 35 degrees in the valley tonight, increasing clouds. Half-inch rains Wednesday morning, mainly high 55 and breezy south winds. Then turning colder again for Thursday, high 40, low Thursday night, 24. I'm meteorologist Scott Lauriamore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Traffic slow, 240 westbound between Charlotte Street and Montford Avenue, 26 eastbound crawling between I-40 and the Blue Ridge Parkway. 26 on the westbound side, light delays between Long Shoals Road and the Blue Ridge Parkway. Patton Avenue southbound crawling between New Leicester Highway and Johnston Boulevard. Sweeten Creek Road southbound stop and go approaching the Blue Ridge Parkway and continuing to Mills Gap Road. Hendersonville Road southbound slow between the Biltmore Forest area and Overlook Road. Near Fletcher, Hendersonville Road southbound is slowing between Old Airport Road and Fanning Bridge Road. I'm Lyndon Fuel with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. Jackson Hewitt gets you your biggest tax refund guaranteed, plus a chance to double your refund or win weekly prizes with their Double Your Refund sweepstakes. File your taxes on the double. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Ends 4/2/23.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Only iHeartRadio gives you access to all.
iHeartRadio.
Access to all of your favorite radio stations.
It's Ryan Seacrest. I go by the name of Charlamagne the God.
Hi, I'm Ellen K.
Bobby Bones here. Hola, soy Enrique Santos.
Access to all of the best free curated playlists.
My favorite music. The best songs.
A little bit of everything.
Access to all of the great podcasts for every interest.
The Stuff You Should Know podcast.
The Daily Show podcast.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
And best of all, it doesn't cost a thing. Download the absolutely free iHeartRadio app now.
Our communities are filled with wonderful people who make living here great. At Home Trust Bank, we're proud of that. And that's why we focus on helping homeowners prepare for what's next. Our local mortgage bankers have the experience you need and exceptional personal service you'll appreciate. Home Trust Bank is ready to help make a house your home. When it's time to buy, visit your local Home Trust branch or go to htb.com/mortgage.
Did you know Ingles only sells USDA Choice and Prime cuts of meat? Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. We'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
And welcome back into the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville. Future power rankings over the next 5 years. Where does each and every NFL team, well, and where is there hope and where's there not so much hope? We've already been through a lot of the not so much hopes, working our way from 32 up to number one, which number one is number one by a good stretch.
By 1 U.S. billion D.
We're up to number 24. And number 24 is?
The Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this is the NFC South team that does have a coach.
And this is also the highest ranked of all four.
Where does their roster rank?
Atlanta is at number 27.
Okay. I can get down with that.
They have a coach that I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that actually caught me the most off guard was how good their front office has been at finding guys late.
Okay.
Their wins above replacement were pretty good. And now that's buoyed by an A.J. Terrell. It's buoyed by a Foye Aluakon who you let walk out the door, but see, there's no way to punish you for that.
Mm-hmm.
You drafted him. You brought him in, and then he left. Well, you did let him leave. And he goes to Jacksonville. He's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really get dinged for that. It's more how good are you at getting talent in the building.
Right.
Look, the offensive line was shockingly good this year. You went down all the metrics. With the right quarterback, Atlanta could be good in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And
if the offensive line plays like that again. I mean, these guys have been on the roster for like 7 years together.
It's a completely different scheme. You got to realize there are players in the NFL that have looked like they didn't belong in this league. Then they wind up in the right system.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they're borderline all-pro. That matters a lot. That is the reason we talk about arm size and we talk about squat and we talk about reaching and all these different things with offensive linemen. In some systems, that really matters. In some, it doesn't matter at all. So Atlanta, I feel like has – and that's I kind of prop up Arthur Smith for that too. Of you're getting the most out of what I don't find to be a very good, talented roster,
mm-hmm.
but you're getting a lot more out of them than people have in the past.
Right. Got some good young pieces on that Atlanta offense and the defense. Well, I mean, you have an A.J. Terrell on defense. Other than that, who was their number two? Who's the number 2 guy on defense for Atlanta?
Arnold Ebiketie, I think.
Okay.
I think he was the second highest rated player on the defense.
Okay.
And you've got a Troy Anderson that was lightly used. I mean, look, there are young players that you're building a roster.
Mm-hmm.
You're just a ways away.
Number 23.
The Chicago Bears.
I don't think anybody should really be shocked by this. I mean, if you are, you would probably go, well, I mean, their draft capital's got to be at the top. They got number 1.
They're number 2. They would be number 1 if they didn't trade away a second-round pick for Chase Claypool.
Mm-hmm. They have the number 1 pick in the draft, but then they don't pick again until 54.
So, running the simulation, if they take Bryce Young 1, they jump up to like 16 because of what they would get for Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
If they keep Justin Fields, they actually drop 2 spots. That's why I keep saying that. You have an asset that's ballooned up right now in value.
Yep.
I don't care how much Bryce Young weighs. Don't care. The amount of things you can do with the 2 extra years, you better think Justin Fields is light years ahead of him. Because that's how, and exercises like this kind of show you that.
Mm-hmm. It becomes at some point like it sounds crass to say it in this manner, but lack of a better term, it's a disposable asset right now. That's what Justin Fields is.
Well, right now your 2 biggest assets are pieces that overlap each other. So, I mean, yes, it helps that you have both of them. It's just a question of where do you go, because they shouldn't live together.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't take Will Anderson at 1. That doesn't make any sense. And if you trade down with Houston, well, then all you did was just bump Houston's draft capital up.
I get it. I totally get it. Chicago doesn't have much other than that, though.
Well, I mean, you could get a king's ransom for 1, and I think you could get quite a lot for Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not as bereft of talent as everybody wants to make them out to be.
Number 22.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, obviously, Coach doesn't rank very highly for you.
No, sir.
Front office can't really rank highly for you.
No, sir. You want me to tell you another fun thing that there was no way for me to quantifiably say this? You remember when I said there was a team in the top 10 that's in love with Anthony Richardson?
Mm-hmm.
You just take that, you write it on a little note, put it on a corkboard, and just remember I said it.
Las Vegas Raiders, do they walk into the draft going Anthony Richardson, and that's it?
Dave Ziegler was at I think it was the Tennessee game,
okay,
where Anthony Richardson threw for 11 jillion yards. And apparently that's just stuck in his head.
Yikes. So hold on, Raiders fans. It could get worse before it gets better, is what you're saying. I thought the Derek Carr thing was laughably stupid. And if they decide Anthony Richardson is the answer, it's even more laughably stupid than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Getting rid of Derek Carr.
I keep telling you somebody's going to do it. Now, I think the more likely scenario is they chase Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
His little response on his podcast didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy about so I couldn't even hypothesize that.
Oh, yeah. Jim Gray asked him, hey, so what are you thinking? And he started dropping F-bombs, and I will decide when I effing decide. Well, okay, Tom. Jeez.
If I'd decided, I'd already done it.
Jeez.
Well, thanks, Tom.
Wow.
Back to you in the studio, Bill.
So touchy on the subject.
Oh, yeah, now that he's not your quarterback, you can see that he's about as likable as a hemorrhoid.
But it's the same. I mean, it's the same thing. And it's just like Jim Gray said. You had to know I was going to ask the question. Why are you so prickly?
They're business partners.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom, did you really think I wasn't going to ask you that question? I mean, you seriously can't be that stupid.
No.
And yet,
here we are. So number 22 is the Las Vegas Raiders. Take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get to number 21 on the list.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Traffic slow, 240 westbound between Charlotte Street and Montford Avenue, 26 eastbound crawling between I-40 and the Blue Ridge Parkway. 26 on the westbound side, light delays between Long Shoals Road and the Blue Ridge Parkway. Patton Avenue southbound crawling between New Leicester Highway and Johnston Boulevard. Sweeten Creek Road southbound stop and go approaching the Blue Ridge Parkway and continuing to Mills Gap Road. Hendersonville Road southbound slow between the Biltmore Forest area and Overlook Road. Near Fletcher, Hendersonville Road southbound is slowing between Old Airport Road and Fanning Bridge Road. I'm Lyndon Fuel with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. Jackson Hewitt gets you your biggest tax refund guaranteed, plus a chance to double your refund or win weekly prizes with their Double Your Refund sweepstakes. File your taxes on the double. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Ends 4/2/23.
Hey, this is Peter Schrager from the NFL Network's morning show, Good Morning Football. You've also seen me on NFL Sidelines and in studio for Fox Sports on Sunday. Well, I've got a new podcast with iHeart in the NFL, and we're calling it The Season with Peter Schrager. In each episode of this season, I'm going to empty my proverbial notebook and take you inside and behind the scenes on the conversations that happen at the highest levels of NFL franchises. Listen to The Season with Peter Schrager on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Straight Talk Wireless knows there are plenty of reasons you might need a new phone. But switching to a better wireless provider doesn't have to be one of them. Keep your own phone and save when you switch to any Straight Talk Wireless plan, like our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with unlimited high-speed data and 5 gigs of hotspot, plus nationwide 5G. Keep your own phone. Switch to a better wireless plan. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Requires a compatible unlocked phone and KYOP kit. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See latest terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you know you're gonna get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Rogue Combat Club, Asheville's home for comprehensive martial arts training, has a goal for our community, one that's stronger, more fit, and unwavers in its support of one another. Rogue Combat Club's instructors have competed at the highest levels and offer classes for everyone from young children to adults in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and wrestling. Rogue Combat Club classes can help you boost your self-confidence and self-defense skills while weeding out the egos and intimidation found at other gyms. Join today at roguecombatclub.com.
At Ingles, whether we're celebrating Friday night rivals, televising college basketball games, bringing the Fan Fest to semi-pro soccer, or taking you out to the ball game at your minor league park, it's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Since man created roads, they've been looking for ways to get off-road and vehicles to take them there. That's where Outlaw Off-Road comes in. A premier off-road center for Jeeps, trucks, and SUVs with a complete lineup of off-road and overland services, including maintenance and repair to make your vehicle all that it can be. Check out their location right here in Western North Carolina at 85 Avery Creek Road. Call them today at 828-974-8480 or visit them on the web at theoutlawoffroad.com.
The Sportsocracy.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
Future power rankings in the NFL over the next 5 years, according to the rankings of coach, roster, quarterback, front office, and draft capital this year. How much hope does your team have for the future? We're up to number 21.
The Cleveland Browns.
Let's go, Brownies. To me, this feels low, but you also have to take into account it is the Cleveland Browns.
You also have to take into account that you're one more bad year from a complete overhaul from the top down.
Yes.
And
I mean,
then,
except for your quarterback, because you're stuck there.
Yeah, you're stuck with the quarterback. I don't necessarily feel like – I feel like Cleveland can have a big bounce back. The problem is that I look around your division and go, which one of those three teams are you actually better than? Because it's surely not Cincinnati. And
No.
I don't think even the most delusional fan could tell me that.
No.
Pittsburgh's more consistent than you, with a better front office that drafts better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And so is Baltimore. So that has to factor in.
Yes. I would take with a bounce back year with Deshaun Watson, this team can be better than Pittsburgh. They can be better than Baltimore, but that's also factoring in the usual Baltimore script that we've seen over the last few years, that by midseason they're dead injury-wise, and you could see Cleveland sneak it up into that second spot.
Look, they're a talented team. the defense atrophied to an unbelievable spot this year.
Yes.
So the roster's not quite as good as people think it is, but you're very good at quarterback, which is the reason you're up here. And you really start a run of teams that, okay, you round this roster off and you could be 10 spots higher before the season starts, and it wouldn't shock me in the least.
Does the next team fall into that category, though? Number 20.
All right, there's one, and then we start.
Okay, all right.
The Houston Texans.
Yeah, because it's not them. It's not that. I mean, you do look, they got the opportunity to add some more good young pieces through the draft. I mean, they have 2 picks in the top 12. So you can do.
They're number 1 in the league in draft capital.
Right, so you can do a lot with that. But will you?
Well, I mean, if I'm using last year, we talk about how many home runs the Jets hit and how many home runs the Seahawks hit. If you take away Kenyon Green, you hit one with 3 of your first 4 picks.
Yeah.
Because Derek Stingley was one.
Yep.
Jalen Petrie was one.
Yep.
Damian Pierce was one.
Yep.
So that tells me that the team with the most draft capital, well, the last time you did that, which was last year, you did pretty well with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you need a quarterback, obviously.
Yes.
And you need weapons and you need talent. The good thing is you're sitting at 2. You're sitting at 2 in a draft that I'm not so sure anybody's going to – I'm not sure anybody's going to sell the farm to get to 1, whether they should or not.
But we know, or we feel like we know, that it's going to be a quarterback at number 2.
Well, no doubt. And if it's C.J. Stroud, then it's exponentially better than what you had.
Yes. The question to me comes, what about 12? What's the next piece?
Quentin Johnson's the one I want.
Okay.
We'll
so you're
see
going
if he
wide
gets
receiver.
there. We'll see if he gets there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word I'm looking for. It's an inconsistent evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have him in the top 5. Some people don't have him in the top 25.
Yeah.
You need a weapon one way or the other.
I think, I feel like maybe that would be a spot for another offensive lineman. I mean, you got Laramie Tunsil, but you got to add something to that offensive line. So maybe that's a Paris Johnson or a Ben Skoronski, or not Ben, Peter Skoronski.
Peter Skoronski.
I mixed Ben Skowronek and Peter Skowronski. That's how that worked. All right, Texans at number 20. Number 19.
This is the Chuck G special because he said, I thought this team would have already been called by now. It's the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, you do have Jonathan Taylor.
You have Jonathan Taylor, and you have one of the best drafters in the NFL in Chris Ballard. End the message, repeat the line.
Mm-hmm.
Because other than that, there's not a lot to love. This is one of those things when we do exercises like this that I don't think people understand. The front office and the ownership are the 2 hardest things to change. Quarterback's fluid. Coach, super fluid. Roster can be super fluid. The other 2 things, just because you fire the GM, it doesn't necessarily change as much as you think. It changes the final decision maker. It doesn't change, in a lot of cases, the ones that are helping that decision maker get there. The area scouts, the region scouts, they stay the same. There's a reason that historically good drafting teams, Philadelphia Eagles, perfect example, through 4 regimes, they kept drafting well. There's a reason for that, because 7 of their former employees are either GMs or assistant GMs in this league. When you cultivate talent in the front office that way, you will stay good, and Indianapolis is in that boat.
Why does super fluid seem like the most millennial superhero name ever? If you're in the Sportsocracy. Here on ESPN.
At Sports Tank ESPN.
Number 18.
I feel like you've done more things to be hated in the last few days than I have, and that's a rare thing for me to say.
Well, my football team's back to Suckville, so I'm a little saltier than normal.
I'm the captain of Saltyville. So.
Number 18.
The Minnesota Vikings.
Where are you going? This is the question. You have Justin Jefferson, and that's all well and good. We still have Kirk Cousins. Hey, you got a non-Pro Bowl Pro Bowler in Dalvin Cook. He just got named to the Pro Bowl team to fill in the spot for Tony Pollard, so congratulations on that.
Woo!
But where does your team go from here? I felt like they've drafted well, but apparently the critics don't agree with me. Like, I've seen a lot of analysis of their last couple of drafts that I thought were really great, and apparently the analytics don't like them.
It depends on Draft grades are fun because depending on what you want them to say, they'll say whatever you want them to, especially when it comes to teams that have drafted heavily on the offensive line, because it doesn't matter what you actually see. 90% of people never pay attention to it. So you can tell them, Christian Darrisaw is the biggest bust in the history of the league. And then it just becomes fact, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
It's not true to any stretch of the imagination. He's had some injury issues. He's had some inconsistency issues. The good's been very good, as we told you it would be. He came out of a weird system at Virginia Tech. It takes time to develop. They've drafted well. The problem is, I don't know what your head coach is. I can't figure him out because it seems like he's really good against bad teams and he's really awful against good teams. There's a lot of fluidity in the front office, and then you get the definition of average Kirk Cousins as your quarterback. I don't know how you're supposed to be anywhere else. They just feel like a league average team to me. You had an above and beyond better year luck-wise than you could have ever anticipated. Absolutely. The luckiest year in NFL history.
Yes.
That's not a fact, or that's not an opinion, that's a fact.
You won 11 one-score games.
Which is 3 more than any team in NFL history has ever won. You're the luckiest team in NFL history. Could I see a regression where they come back to 8-9? No doubt. Could I see them going 11-6? I could. I just feel like the Justin Jefferson's got to get taken care of, and that's going to be another really expensive piece. And as this team gets more expensive, you just start to atrophy, and the defense is not very good.
And the last one in the bottom half of the NFL, next 5 years, power rankings, number 17.
The Washington Commanders.
Yep. And this is about where I see them.
There's a lot of talent on this team. A lot. There's a lot of holes on this team.
Yes.
And a lot of it hinges on Sam Howell. And look, I've already reported on this show. They are telling coordinator candidates it is a prerequisite of you getting this job that you're going into next year with Sam Howell as the quarterback.
Yes.
Which he was my number one quarterback in the class. So I like that. There is some instability. And Patrick Holt said, he thought they would be higher. If Sam Howell's the guy, you could be in the top 10 in 6 months.
But what do you trust? Do you trust the front office? Do you? Do you trust the coaching staff?
I trust the coaching staff way more than you do.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
Clear.
I trust the coaching staff way more than you do. Well, I mean, he's been in the league for, 15 years as a head coach?
Sure.
Yeah, there's a reason there's only 4 in the league that have been here longer.
Do just enough not to get fired.
And that's okay. Is that better? Fact or fiction, that's better than Kevin O'Connell.
Ooh,
There you go.
I don't know that I agree with that.
I 100% do because I know what I'm getting. Kevin O'Connell could be a disaster that's just the luckiest individual on the planet Earth, and it wouldn't shock me at all.
Maybe so.
But it's a known quantity. And that's kind of what I feel with Washington. You're a known quantity that's a quarterback away from being a contender.
You're in the Sportsocracy. It's ESPN Asheville, the Sports Center update. Coming up in just a few moments, we will continue with the top half of the league, the future power rankings in the NFL, here on a Power Rankings Tuesday in the Sportsocracy.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Next weather maker bringing half-inch rains to Asheville tomorrow and some gusty winds. There's some high wind warnings up for some of the mountain peaks to our west for tonight and Wednesday morning. 35 degrees in the valley tonight, increasing clouds. Half-inch rains Wednesday morning, mainly high 55 and breezy south winds. Then turning colder again for Thursday, high 40, low Thursday night, 24. I'm meteorologist Scott Larimore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Traffic is slow, 240 westbound between Charlotte Street and Montford Avenue. Future 26 westbound at Broadway Street, a vehicle fire, right lane closed. 26 eastbound crawling between I-40 and the Blue Ridge Parkway. Patton Avenue southbound, stop and go between New Leicester Highway and Johnston Boulevard. Hendersonville Road southbound slow between I-40 and Overlook Road. Sweeten Creek Road southbound is stop and go approaching the Blue Ridge Parkway and continuing to Mills Gap Road. Near Avery Creek, Pavard Road north and southbound approaching Long Shoals Road is stop and go. I'm Lynn Benfield with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Marion Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Choose from the huge inventory in stock or custom order your new vehicle and save up to 10% off MSRP at Marion Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. During the Start Something New sales event, everyone knows you get a better deal down the mountain. Visit us online at marioncdjr.com or in person on Worley Road in Marion. See dealer for details.
Taco Bell has $2 grilled chicken burritos that come in 2 bold flavors, Chipotle Ranch and Salsa Verde. They're bursting with grilled chicken and delicious sauces. Get your $2 grilled chicken burrito at participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only, while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Tax extra.
From the Ingles Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart radio station.
I'm Christine Lisi. White Sox pitcher Mike Clevenger under investigation by Major League Baseball for domestic violence and child abuse allegations for 2 incidents during his Padres tenure. The White Sox in a statement said they were not aware of the allegations when they signed Clevenger in November 2022. 49ers defensive lineman Charles Omenihu, a key member of the team's defensive line, was arrested yesterday after a domestic violence allegation. The team says it's aware of the matter and is gathering more information. Nets superstar Kevin Durant out at least 2 more weeks with a sprained MCL. He's progressing well, though, in his recovery. Once KD does return and the Nets look to remain in the top 4 in the East, the X factor for them, Ben Simmons, believes ESPN's Vince Carter.
His aggressiveness, getting into the paint, getting shots at the rim is going to mean something because we know his ability to make other guys better. Now he has those decisions where I can attack, getting everybody, the defenses committing to me, making plays, making shooters even more wide open.
Vince Carter on NBA Today. The Lakers listing LeBron James as questionable for tonight's matchup against the Clippers because of ankle soreness.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'Reillyauto.com.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Money. That's money. Enter it now.
Log on now to ESPNAVL.com. And good luck from ESPN Asheville.
He's a degenerate gambler.
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
And he's cheaper than oxygen.
He's useless.
But somehow, they make it work. Jeremy Greene, Tank Spencer. There's no holding back in the Sportsocracy. Presented by Ingles Supermarkets and Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville.
We are live in the Ingles Studio on ESPN Asheville. Heard everywhere on the iHeart Radio app, locally on 92.9 FM, 880 AM. And for those out in Haywood County, 1400 AM. We are seen everywhere on YouTube. Go to thesportsocracy.com, click the live video link, get into the chat. Chat's a whole lot of fun. Side conversations happening all the time about draft things, and you never know what you're going to get into in the draft or in the chat. Talking about Creed bangers and who needs to play Frank Sinatra in the
Scott Stapp. We've already decided
movie.
that. We've already decided that. It's the greatest casting job ever.
I mean, I don't know about that, but it's not bad. Not bad.
Christian Bale is Batman.
Oh, God.
That's one. 2 is Scott Stapp as Frank Sinatra.
Stop that.
And everybody else is just a combination.
Christian Bale's not even the best Batman.
You're just trying to anger me today, aren't you?
I'm
Like, you
not.
just want me to say bad words.
Come on, guys. Everybody knows
If you
it's
say
Michael
Robert
Keaton.
Pattinson, I'm going to fight you.
Everybody knows it's Michael Keaton.
I can't. I mean, I can't outwardly disagree with that. I do, but that's the only name that's acceptable that won't lead me to yell at you.
If Christian Bale hadn't have gone full grizzly bear with his Batman voice, then
where were the drugs going?
Exactly.
I get it. I get it.
Exactly. No, stop. You went way too over the top.
Well,
the
here's the
first
thing.
one,
He
Batman Begins, Christian Bale, was way better than any other.
Well, here's the thing. He has to hide his voice or everybody know he was Bruce Wayne. That's kind of like me being Batman. I had 2 people identify me sight unseen from my voice the other day. So, okay, I get it. Got to throw the voice off.
Right. Yeah. Patrick Holt says Keaton and Bale are 1 and 1A.
I can agree with that. That's fine. That's an acceptable take.
I'm not saying I hated Christian Bale. I'm just saying he wasn't the best.
As long as you don't say Robert Pattinson or George Clooney, I don't care.
Robert Pattinson is number 4, and that's fine. because Adam West is number 3.
And I can agree with that too.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Pattinson's dead last because I don't want emo Batman. All right, I don't want my Batman to listen to Fall Out Boy. So I say crest out.
Young Batman was never into contemporary music. Is that what you're saying?
Not that. Didn't listen to Avril Lavigne. I refuse to believe that.
No Nirvana. No. I mean, that was the first song in the movie. So
yeah, the fact that you just compared Nirvana and Fall Out Boy you're trying to make me mad today.
Well, no, I mean, you keep saying Fall Out Boy, but I'm pretty sure Fall Out Boy didn't have a song in the movie. Nirvana did.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
We all know what you're saying.
Yes.
You were upset at young Batman who makes mistakes.
Yeah, I'm upset at young Batman that shops at PacSun and wears skinny jeans. I don't want that in my Batman.
Come on, spoiler alert here. But when he went flying through the city and crashed into the sign, I thought it was the most hilarious thing I'd ever seen.
And that, boys and girls, is a rabbit hole, and that's what we do here.
Indeed. It is the Sportsocracy. Like I said, heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Take us with you everywhere you go. We are in the midst of the power rankings this week. And, well, I mean, 4 teams left in the playoffs. We didn't feel like doing a complete half hour on every team because that's going to be a Friday show.
Yeah, with Asheville Police Chief David Zach.
But so power rankings, where do you go when the season's over for most teams? You look to the future. And over the next 5 years, Jeremy ran all the rankings and did the calculations and came up with a composite score for each and every team. Lower score ranks you the highest.
And weird, we're at the exact definition of average point in the NFL. What team would make the most sense right here?
The New England Patriots.
There it is.
Yeah. Run of the mill. You got a great coach. You got you got a great culture, or a historically great culture in place. You got the front office pieces that, I mean, you don't always trust them. I mean, look at the draft history here. It's not great.
It's not great, no. But it's better than some think.
It is. It's better than some teams.
Some of their perceived misses have not been as bad as people think, and some of their hits have been really good. Now their misses are awful.
N'Keal Harry called.
Yeah,
he's on line 1.
Yeah, that's one I would have missed on too. Wow. So I can at least. Yeah. I at least understand what you were trying to do there.
Number 16 is the New England Patriots, who now have a new offensive coordinator. That was the news of the day. Bill O'Brien is rejoining the staff.
Old B.O.B., Bob himself. Yay.
Yeah.
Hey, we got another retread, and it's a Bill retread, but this one, he does offense.
Exactly.
So this time it'll work.
You have McCorkle Jones as your quarterback, and can that take you anywhere in this league?
You know where it can't take you?
Where?
Higher. It cannot take you It cannot take you higher.
The verdict is in.
To a place where blind men see.
Right. The verdict is in.
Let's go.
Mac Jones is not the guy for the future. We all know that guy is sitting behind Mac Jones, and they refuse to play him.
And he says his name incorrectly.
Bailey Zappi.
One of the most shocking things about this simulation for me was how close New England is to the next team on this list.
Number 15.
The Miami Dolphins.
You look at the two teams and you go, roster
you
to
think,
roster.
Surely to God, there has to be a gigantic just chasm between the two of them.
Yes.
There's really not. Because you have a stability at coach with New England that you do not have in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, be honest with yourself. This was a team that's talking about firing Mike McDaniel if he didn't make the playoffs. It was out there, it was well known, and it was not hidden.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't tell you that's what they were going to do because they didn't. And they made the playoffs. They almost beat the Bills. Yay. Stephen Ross is a bit of a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that plays into your front office grade. And there's been a lot of instability here, and this team's very all in. And then you come back to, okay, so who's your quarterback? And they have the weirdest grade of all because I genuinely don't know. I feel like you have to be planning for it to be Tua.
Yes.
But then you have to have a backup plan because he had 3 concussions in a year. There's a lot of instability with this team.
You do the same thing you did this year. You bring in a backup quarterback that has some starting history in the NFL. You're not going to expect him to play, but he's at least there as a fail-safe.
All right, so and this is where I got with this because I had to physically give the number on quarterback. All right, if I tell you right now Tua Tagovailoa plays 12 games next year and he misses 5, and you get a high-end NFL backup, Teddy Bridgewater, Tyrod Taylor, Case Keenum type quarterback, where do you rank that?
14.
It's too high. I saw your mouth forming into an F, and it's too high. That means you think that combination's better than Kirk Cousins. And to me, that is the most just lunatic thing you have ever said.
Were they better than the Minnesota Vikings this year?
No.
Okay.
Scoreboard record says no, and it wasn't all that close. And yeah, I think there was some luck there. I just feel like if I'm going into this with the plan of I have to spend up for my backup quarterback because there is such a high probability that he plays, that doesn't really scream stable franchise to me. And I saw Miami there, and I thought I'd be outraged by it. And the more I thought about it, I went, no, that's exactly where they belong.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and New England are practically the same team. One of you just has many more flashing lights and shiny things.
Yeah, if you could combine them into one team, you still wouldn't have a quarterback, future guaranteed franchise quarterback, but you'd at least have all the pieces around it.
And now the question for me is if you knew – now, conversely, if you knew Tua was going to play 17 games and be healthy, you're probably in the top 10. I can't put you any higher than that, but that would be the discrepancy.
Well, I mean, you had the same scenario this year. You were a playoff team, and you came, so close to pulling the upset against the Buffalo Bills. I feel like in the end, this team was better than the Minnesota Vikings. The record just looked better for Minnesota. We talked –
and in the playoffs, you got to the exact same spot because you had a quarterback that was hurt. And so you had to play Skylar Thompson. If Tua plays, then we beat the Bills. Well, here's the thing. He didn't, and you didn't. If ifs and nuts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. It doesn't matter. That's a hypothetical. And that's the problem with Miami. Virtually everything you do is hypothetical. And I can't put you any higher.
Number 13.
The New York Football Giants.
14, excuse me.
A lot of this steers into Brian Daboll because I do really believe in him as a coach. I believe in his ability to hire. Even if he loses Mike Kafka or Wink Martindale, what do I think he's going to do? Go hire another smart guy. He's been around this league for 25 years. And then you just look at this is New York. And this is I look at the Jets and the Giants very similarly, even though they're not ranked the same. The Giants have always been the consistent franchise if you take the last few years out of it. The Giants always looked at the Jets as the little stepbrother that they would just beat the tar out of every once in a while. I still feel like that's kind of the same way. The ownership group's more consistent. You had if you take away the Dave Gettleman years, this is a historically good franchise.
God, I heard some talking heads on ESPN the other day talking about, man, we really should give David Gettleman more credit for this team.
And that is what stupid sounds like.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
you should give Brian Daboll all the credit because Dave Gettleman was not good at this.
No.
And I guess that's where I'm at is Brian Daboll took you to the divisional round of the playoffs with a roster that I had at 21 overall. And most of that was really young. I don't see how it gets worse. I mean, Daniel Jones was really efficient, but I never thought he was elite.
No.
It's not like I'm waiting on you to match an elite season. I just need you to be the definition of average.
No, and if he's back, do you expect the same thing again next year?
Well, I don't think your receiving core could be any worse.
That's what I'm saying.
You add, in the mock draft, I had him adding Jackson Smith and Jigba. That gives you a 1 with Isaiah Hodgins, with Richie James. Wan'Dale Robinson comes back instead of Sterling Shepard. That doesn't sound bad on paper. Now you have to stay healthy.
Yep. It's a little unproven, but
there's talent.
It could work. Yeah, absolutely.
That's another part of this. I'm looking at Isaiah Hodgins, who the Buffalo Bills tried to sneak on their practice squad, and Brian Daboll went, nope, yep, I'm going to need him here in New York with me. And I know he was in Buffalo. I get it. But that's an eye for talent.
Mm-hmm.
You had a hole and you patched it. That's what good front offices do.
New York Giants at 14, number 13.
This one's going to sound low, and I don't think it is. The Los Angeles Chargers.
This rings inconsistency to me.
It's all about the coach. I don't buy Brandon Staley. And I don't think it gives a good message that you had what happened in the playoffs happen, and there was almost no backlash off that.
Mm-mm.
Well, we fired the offensive coordinator. Okay. The offensive coordinator had absolutely nothing to do with you giving up 30 points in 33 minutes. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Your defensive guru head coach. He's the one that did that. And I love Tom Telesco. We've talked about this on the show multiple times. I think he drafts really well. I think he really thinks outside the box. I'm looking at the roster going, you had every toy to play with this year. And you didn't even get as far as the New York Giants. You got the same distance as the Miami Dolphins with a backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And Keenan Allen's getting older, and Mike Williams is injury prone. There's just a lot of volatility on the roster. I believe that the front office will put the talent in the building. I'm just not sure what Brandon Staley's going to do with it once it gets there.
They've already done it, though. The front office has already put the talent in the building. On paper, this was one of the best rosters in the NFL.
I was about to ask, where would you put them in terms of rosters in the NFL?
Just on paper, I mean, it'd be top 6.
That's exactly where I had them, was at 6.
Yeah. I mean, they're all pros all over this roster. When you brought in Khalil Mack, you brought in J.C. Jackson, you've got Bosa. I mean,
you nailed the Jamari Sawyer thing this year, who just slides over the left tackle, and it's all fine.
Right. And I also feel maybe it's just one of those things that takes time.
And it could. They have health issues too, but there's a lot of teams that have that.
Mm-hmm. But there again, Brandon Staley standing in your way. I felt like this was a make or break year for him, and he barely made it. I mean, this is that old tenacious D line. You passed the test, but barely. You know what you got? F+. Because you didn't do what we all expected you to do with it.
The next segment is going to rattle some cages, and I'm here for it.
You're in the Sportsocracy, and it's ESPN Asheville.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Traffic stop and go 240 westbound between Chuns Cove Road and Montford Avenue. 240 eastbound stop and go between exit 3 and exit 4A. Future 26 westbound approaching Broadway Street. Traffic stop and go due to a vehicle fire. 26 eastbound is stop and go between I-40 and the Blue Ridge Parkway. Sweeten Creek Road southbound, heavy delays approaching the Blue Ridge Parkway to Mills Gap Road. Hendersonville Road southbound slow between I-40 and Overlook Road. NC 191 southbound delays between Long Valley Road and Sardis Road. I'm Lyndon Field with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
On the free iHeartRadio app, you never pay to hear what you love, and you never wait to hear what you want. Save your money, save your time, and listen anywhere. Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
iHeartRadio. I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
When I finally drove the old car into the grave, I knew there was only one place I was going to go. Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville, home of the family plan. And yes, they treat you like family. I went in, told them what I was looking for, told them my budget, and in no time, I was signing the paperwork on my certified pre-owned vehicle. They have the area's largest selection on quality pre-owned vehicles and certified Nissans. They go through a 167-point inspection, so you know it's not going to let you down. They gave me the Carfax report, so I know the history of my vehicle. And the Fred Anderson family plan gives me things like oil changes and car washes and loaner cars if I have to have major work done on the car in the future. For me, buying a car has always been an intimidating thought. But the folks at Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville made it super easy. Don't be like me. Don't wait till the last minute to get a deal done. Go to AndersonNissan.com or stop by the showroom at 629 Brevard Road. And don't forget to mention we sent you from the Sportsocracy and get a $250 bonus on your trade-in at Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville.
Real estate isn't about properties. It's about people. I'm Clarissa Hyatt-Zach with eXp Realty, your native realtor serving all of Western North Carolina. I will work hard for you, and I believe in doing the right thing every time. I market each of my listings to reach out-of-town buyers. I use a professional photographer and drone video on every single listing, as well as collaborate with agents across the country to find your buyer. Check me out online at clarissasellswnc.com or give me a call at 828-774-6343. It would be my pleasure to assist you through the real estate process.
The Sportsocracy.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Welcome back into the Ingles Studio. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Flostradamus, Jeremy Greene. The algorithm has been worked. And what does the window look like for the next 5 years for your NFL team? Welcome back into the NFL Future Power Rankings.
It's so nice to hear my nickname said in the correct way and not the way it is often said on Twitter. It's not original. I've heard it 1,000 times. And please, spell it correctly.
We are into the top 12 of the Future Power Rankings here. Left off with the Los Angeles Chargers at number 13, and number 12 is a team that may surprise you.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Yep.
There's one big drawback of San Francisco.
Okay.
All right, there's no team in the NFL that has less draft capital than them. That's unequivocal.
Gave it all up for Trey Lance.
They're also a terrible drafting team. But Dre Greenlaw, yeah, I got that. All right, you've hit some mid-round just steals. All right. Fred Warner, George Kittle, Dre Greenlaw, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Mike McGlinchey, Drake Jackson, who I love but did virtually nothing this year. And you go through the history and go, there's a lot more Javon Kinlaws here than there are Deebo Samuels. And that makes me nervous because I think you're going with Brock Purdy. That's I can't physically see a way you're going to do anything else.
I would agree.
So you're going to have to be able to prop this roster up. And you've been luckier injury-wise this year than you've been in any other year. And this is the reason that I wanted to do this team right here. There's no team that needs to win the Super Bowl more than the San Francisco 49ers. Not because I think they're going anywhere. I think they're the first, second, third best team in the NFC for the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that I think it could fall off a cliff quickly. Because if the Brock Purdy thing goes, let's say it goes sideways, and you tap out on Trey Lance or whatever, wherever that goes.
Right.
You do get that can escalate quickly, right? Because this team gets expensive. Nick Bosa's up next year.
Mm-hmm.
They have 5 of the top 40 free agents on the market this year. You're going to lose a handful of them. So as time goes on, you have to start replacing those guys. So, like, I'll give you an example. Samson Ebukam is a guy that you're going to lose this year. There's no reason to pay him because you got Drake Jackson on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
You better hope Drake Jackson's a hit. Because the way that team is built is that you have to be able to keep rotating those defensive linemen. Well, Javon Kinlaw has been an absolute abject disaster. So when you do that and your mid-round selections leave, we'll say, a bit to be desired, your opportunity cost is much greater. So you get into one of those last years with San Francisco where you're just killed injury-wise. George Kittle gets hurt. Deebo Samuel gets hurt. You're so thin back behind that.
Mm-hmm.
I love this team, and I'll be honest with you, I have them as the number one most talented roster in the league. It's also thin back behind it, so it can escalate fast. I know that sounds weird, because I have Kyle Shanahan as a top 5 coach in this league too.
Mm-hmm.
But you get dinged on some of the draft failures that probably make your window a little tighter.
Which there are a lot of.
A lot.
There are a lot of.
You don't realize. I told Tank this in the break. Just Google it. Look at the last 5 years. There's a lot of Jalen Hurds and Joe Williams and
absolutely
Dante Pettis and Tyrion Davis. I could keep doing this,
but there are so many. But there are enough hits there,
absolutely,
to make me feel like it's an okay drafting team, not horrible. Sure, you've missed on some big ones. Sure, that but
it's a combination of the two.
Mm-hmm.
You have the least draft capital in the league. You historically have a very low hit rate. Your hits are great. When you have 5 picks in an entire draft, you better hit on 2 of them, and they better both be home runs.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, you don't do that.
No. For example, 2 years ago in the 2020 draft, they had 5 picks. The best one of them was Brandon Ayuk.
And he's very good.
Mm-hmm. But then you also had Javon Kinlaw, who has been okay, but he's not what you wanted him to be.
No.
Drafted him at 14.
And then you had
Colton McKivitz, Charlie Werner, and Jawan Jennings.
He's actually still on the roster.
I know he is, but still, he's a deep role player. He's not one that you could look back and go, Talanoa Hufanga, who you got in the 2021 draft.
And that's a home run.
Yeah.
It's just you're hitting a lot of pop flies, and over time that will start to wear on you, especially if you're riding with Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy.
Exactly. So the San Francisco 49ers come in at number 12. Number 11.
The Pittsburgh Steelers. You rolled your eyes like the Undertaker when I said this before the show.
Because, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. But I still look at this team and I go, okay, great. So you did it again. So you got another winning season. Congratulations. But is this team ever going to be, a 12-5 division winner, at least in the next 5 years?
Maybe. You went 9-8 with no offensive line and missing your best player for half the season.
Yeah.
And a rookie quarterback, because this is a team that just keeps doing it. They take third-round receivers that become all-pros. That's what they do. And so when you do that, you have a much bigger opportunity for error. And so Kenny Pickett doesn't have to be a Pro Bowler.
Mm-hmm.
He can be Kenny Pickett. Just don't turn the ball over. I'll build the defense. I'll play gross. But basically, they do what New England does. They just do it substantially better. They just never had a Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I know it sounds weird, but over the next 5 years, if you told me the Pittsburgh Steelers had a top 10 winning percentage in the NFL, would it shock you?
No.
There you go.
No, it really wouldn't. Depends on what they can do in the next draft, and I still feel like you need to have a quarterback. I mean, because I don't feel like we've seen this team be a threat without a really good quarterback, right?
I don't agree with that. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't really good for the last 8 years of his career.
And they weren't really good, though.
They were the 1 seed in the AFC in one of those years. Been through for a lot of yards. He was really inefficient.
Mm-hmm.
So I need Kenny Pickett to not turn the ball over. That's it. And then let me do that thing that I do, which is go find diamonds in the rough in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, like, the sack leader through 14 weeks this year,
right?
Alex Highsmith. I do that better than practically anybody. And as long as you do that, you're going to be pretty high in these lists.
All right. Let's go with number 10.
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
You said the number was going to be lower than we expected on the Jacksonville Jaguars. But this isn't as high as I thought it was going to be, actually.
2 words. Shad Khan. Can you stay out of the way. Just remember, do you remember when Jacksonville went to the AFC Championship game and played New England, and we all looked around and said, man, that team's going to be good forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened? Shock you if that happened again?
No.
Blow your mind if it happened again?
No.
There you go. Now, do I think Trevor Lawrence is exponentially better than Blake Bortles? Yes, I do. Do I think Doug Peterson is exponentially better than
Doug Marrone?
Than Doug Marrone? Yeah, I do. So you got a lot of insulation here. I get it. It's as you start looking at the teams in front of them, it gets hard for me to say, yeah, your outlook's better than theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you're still top 10 in the league, and this is coming off a team that picked number 1 in the draft last year. That's a precipitous climb in 1 year.
Yes.
And it could be better than this. I have some reservations with everything that happens in the higher offices. Trent Baalke scares me a little bit. The cons scare me a little bit.
As they should.
I mean, at the end of the day, say this out loud. We're owned by a guy that owns a pro wrestling organization. I'm counting on that guy to not meddle, because immediately my brain goes to Vince McMahon and I break out in cold sweats and go, uh-oh. I don't think it's going to happen. That's why they're this high.
Right.
But they can't be any higher than that.
Yeah, I would agree. Jacksonville Jaguars come in at number 10. Inside the top 10, well, there's one name that's coming here up next after the break that I think people may be even saltier about this one than they were about the San Francisco 49ers.
And guess what? I'm going to say the same thing about this team that I said about the last team.
Stick with us on ESPN Asheville. Future Power Rankings continue. Top 9 next.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Next weather maker bringing half-inch rains to Asheville tomorrow and some gusty winds. There's some high wind warnings up for some of the mountain peaks to our west for tonight and Wednesday morning. 35 degrees in the valley tonight, increasing clouds. Half-inch rains Wednesday morning, mainly high 55 and breezy south winds. Then turning colder again for Thursday, high 40. Low Thursday night, 24. I'm meteorologist Scott Lariamore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Traffic stop and go 240 westbound between Chuns Cove Road and Montford Avenue. 240 eastbound stop and go between exit 3 and exit 4A. Future 26 westbound approaching Broadway Street. Traffic stop and go due to a vehicle fire. 26 eastbound is stop and go between I-40 and the Blue Ridge Parkway. Sweeten Creek Road southbound, heavy delays approaching the Blue Ridge Parkway to Mills Gap Road. Hendersonville Road southbound slow between I-40 and Overlook Road. NC 191 southbound delays between Long Valley Road and Sardis Road. I'm Lyndon Field with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business needs, from quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Your passion is NFL football. Your access is total. Every weekday, NFL Total Access hits you with uncut.
He can't be stopped.
Uncensored.
I love that.
And unapologetic takes on all things NFL.
That's how crazy it is.
We go beyond what happened to tell you how it happened and what happens now.
Those are the facts.
On the field, inside the huddle, and under the helmet. This is NFL Total Access, the podcast. Listen weekdays on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
At Ingles Weather, we're celebrating Friday night rivals, televising college basketball games, bringing the Fan Fest to semi-pro soccer, or taking you out to the ball game at your minor league park. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Since man created roads, they've been looking for ways to get off-road and vehicles to take them there. That's where Outlaw Off-Road comes in. A premier off-road center for Jeeps, trucks, and SUVs with a complete lineup of off-road and overland services, including maintenance and repair to make your vehicle all that it can be. Check out their location right here in Western North Carolina at 85 Avery Creek Road. Call them today at 828-974-8480 or visit them on the web at theoutlawoffroad.com.
I believe real estate isn't about properties. It's about people. I'm Clarissa Hyatt Zach with eXp Realty, serving all of Western North Carolina. Navigating the home buying and selling journey can feel overwhelming at times, and that's why having an agent who cares about you and your needs is key. I'm a native of Western North Carolina, and I close over a home a week. I'm an expert in the market, pricing my sellers correctly to net you the most money, and working as a skilled negotiator for my buyers. Please give me a call today at 828-774-6343 to set up a complimentary market analysis.
No, Jeremy just informed me that the Buccaneers have
you had your first interview with an offensive coordinator candidate, and you should be so excited because it's old Jim Bob Cooter.
Woo!
Greatest name in the history of professional sports.
Yikes. Jim Bob Cooter. Also, the Chargers apparently going to interview Joe Brady.
So are the
Panthers
Jets.
Fans.
Yeah, so are the Jets.
I mean, we did say he's going to get another look in this league after the failure that was his 1 year with the Carolina Panthers. Was it 1 year or 2 years? Maybe it was just one. Okay, 2 years. So the Chargers apparently going after Joe Brady. The Buccaneers want to interview Jim Bob Cooter.
Oh, they don't want to. They just did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they just concluded the interview.
Okay. Yikes. I don't like where this is going at all.
I do.
Future power rankings for the NFL over the next 5 years. What's the window look like for all of the teams? Again, Jeremy, working the numbers here with the rankings of the roster, the coach, the quarterback, the front office, and this year's draft capital. And the lowest score comes out on top. Highest score in the rankings goes all the way to the bottom. So we started at number 32 with the Denver Broncos. We have worked our way up into the top 10. The Jacksonville Jaguars, we're at 10. Number 9.
This is gonna frazzle some people.
Stop it.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Stop it. How do you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Lou Anarumo? Look. How's this team at 9?
I don't disagree. Very simply, you've been irrelevant for 30 years.
Okay.
There's one consistent there. The ownership group has been the same the entire time. Notoriously cheap. I understand it's changed as he kind of took his hands off it. Yes. I get that.
Yes.
I can't unwind that I've seen that for 30 years. And I'm not going to lie. Cincinnati is actually Jacksonville started there are just a chasm between 10 and 11. Pittsburgh's 40 points behind Jacksonville.
And that makes all the sense in the world.
The top 10 are all separated by less than 25 points.
Yeah, somebody.
Except for one. One is clearly
somebody in the comments said, no way Pittsburgh is ahead of the San Francisco 49ers. And I tend to agree with that. But it is what it is.
One of them drafts really well. One of them leaves a lot to be desired.
Cincinnati at number 9.
And Evan Doyle in the comments said Katie Blackbird's running the show now. It's either his daughter or his daughter-in-law. I don't remember which one. And it's changed things. I know. That hasn't been recent enough for things like this to not hold what happened in the past against you. Is it maybe a blind spot? Maybe. Because there are 3 teams ahead of them that I go, I don't like that, but I couldn't cheat and go, well, Cincinnati needs to be higher.
Right.
Because this is really the only one that I aggressively disagreed with.
See, when I didn't, I knew we were doing the power rankings, so I did my own without the analytics, just as I see them.
I did my own without anything, and I had Cincinnati at 2.
Cincinnati was my 1.
Cincinnati was my 2.
So seeing them at 9 is a little bit surprising. I understand you got to take into account the history of this franchise.
And you have this also takes into account that Joe B., Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon are about to get stupidly expensive.
Yes.
And Cincinnati's the one team I'm looking at going, your deals may come up at like the wrong time because the salary cap's going to escalate. But even with the new money, it can only escalate so quickly. And I'm not saying as long as you got Joe Burrow, you're going to be just fine. I have a fear that if you don't draft better than you have in the past, you can start having holes in the roster. That's me trying to justify something that I flat out don't agree with, but it's the only team in the rankings that I don't agree with.
Well, you could very well see the path where the Cincinnati Bengals in 2 years, 3 years, 3 years I think is when the Joe Burrow contract would kick in after the 5th-year option and all of that. You could see a path where this turns into the LA Rams.
Well, and there's one more great big kerfuffle with Cincinnati. Let's say Joe Burrow was abducted by space aliens. Where's this team at now?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what things like this do, is they really shine a light on, man, you're Joe Burrow dependent. And before you say that about, I don't know, Buffalo, Kansas City, you really think Andy Reid would be 6-11? Really? That's what you're trying to tell me?
I mean,
I don't.
I think you might leave Buffalo out of that, but because I could definitely see the path where they're 6-11 without Josh Allen.
I don't know that I agree with you because that defense is still really good when it's healthy.
Maybe.
Cincinnati's
But
very
there's
Joe
also-
Burrow dependent. Now, do I think this is too low? I do. But like I said, I couldn't take 31 teams and go, I agree with all these, but there's this one's wrong.
All right, number 8.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Surprisingly enough that this ends up here.
That's about where they stay for me. You're the team that your best years you can get into the divisional playoffs, and then you're going to come up against the Philadelphias, the San Franciscos, all of that of the world. But they draft really well.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of some aggressively bad misses. And I said this yesterday. Look at their last 5 first-round picks. They're all 5 home runs. They haven't had a miss in, I can't tell you how long. They're the only team in the NFL I can say that about.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that you're going to be able to stay. I think you stay the course. I just don't think you ever get even better. As long as Dak Prescott makes that much money, this is where you are. And I'll be honest with you, that was one of the only teams that was the same on my ranking that it was in this ranking. I had Dallas at exactly 8.
Okay. Number 7.
This is one that will ruffle people's feathers as well. And then you have to remember, they did just win a Super Bowl. You do realize that, right? Yeah. The Los Angeles Rams.
As bad as this year was, I mean, we're all prisoners of the moment to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at this team and you go, this turned south very, very quickly after the Super Bowl year. And now you have more questions coming into this offseason.
You gave up a top 6 pick, which makes you look really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you've kind of learned your lesson on that. And this team was killed hurt. Would it shock you if the LA Rams came back next year, went 12-5, fully healthy, and were the 1 seed in the NFC?
No.
It wouldn't me either. It wouldn't me either. Now, this is swayed because they have drafted well with limited draft capital. They also have a phenomenal coach, and they have a good roster.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a deep roster, but it's a good roster. And so that, I had LA in the middle of the pack at 17 roster-wise. They were still this high. So I just feel like this is a 1-year blip, and you get everybody back healthy, and a year from now we'll go, hey, you remember when that Rams team was just absolutely awful? That was fun.
Yeah. That'd be a hell of a blip. I feel like probably the biggest swing in NFL history. Should they do that? Should they be 12-5 next year? I don't know that that's ever happened in NFL history where a team has gone.
Well, you've never seen one go from winning a Super Bowl to this bad.
Right. Like I said, I was getting ready to say, not necessarily Super Bowl, but at least a contender to dog water to contender immediately the next year.
New York Jets. I remember it like the back of my hand. Vinny Testaverde blew out an ACL in the back of the end zone before the first game.
Mm-hmm.
They went from an AFC Championship game to 4-12 or 5-11, one or the other, and then they were in the divisional round of the playoffs the next year. That's the biggest swing I can remember.
Okay. Number 7 is the LA Rams. Number 6.
The Detroit Lions.
And I understand all of I fully get this.
This
is where I got the ranking right. I had them at 6 in my power rankings for the future. They're at 6 by the analytics, and it's hard to argue.
Because this team has just a ridiculous amount of draft capital.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, them and a team we haven't said yet were either – they're borderline playoff teams, both. One of them made it, one of them didn't. And now you have a top 6 pick. Do you understand how much that's worth? Especially when you've got a handful of quarterbacks and one of them might end up there. You can do anything you want, or you can add a prodigious talent that falls in your lap because there were 3 quarterbacks in the top 6. And then you have your own pick as well. And then you mix in the fact that they're 2 of the better drafting teams over the last handful of years.
Mm-hmm.
And they were good anyway. And you're bringing the whole band back because Aaron Glenn's going to be back as the defensive coordinator and Ben Johnson's going to be back as the offensive coordinator. That's a lot of stability. I really like this Detroit team.
Yeah, you hammer the defense in the draft. You hit a couple of more solid doubles even in the draft. Picking 6 and 18, you're right in the thick of the NFC chase.
Well, no doubt. And you're in a division that could be really, really, really bad.
Mm-hmm. Extremely winnable.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota comes back to the mean. Green Bay loses Aaron Rodgers and the Chicago Bears, regardless of how this goes. Either they're starting over with a rookie quarterback or they still have Justin Fields. That's a winnable division next year. And I'm not sure they're not my favorites to win that division next year.
They probably will be mine.
Number 5.
The Baltimore Ravens. When you're the best drafting team in the league, you can only go so far.
Mm-hmm.
And this team invariably, they do this every single year. The biggest problem with Baltimore is they're hurt all the time. And I don't know what the problem is there. Everybody in Baltimore is saying they're bringing back Lamar Jackson. So I'm going to believe you until I don't. Because it never made any sense to me that you were going to let him go for nothing. So you were going to franchise him at worst. And most likely, you get that roster back fully healthy next year. And you have Lamar Jackson probably taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
You need a weapon really bad.
Yes.
But you add that, would it shock you if Baltimore was back to 12-5 or 13-4 next year and they did it 3 more times the next 5 years?
No, sir.
Wouldn't shock me in the least.
You're in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville. Top 4 to close it out next.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
240 westbound is crawling between Shuns Cove Road and Montford Avenue. 240 westbound, then stop and go between Bavard Road and I-40. 240 eastbound, stop and go between Amboy Road and US 1923, exit 4A. 26 eastbound, stop and go between I-40 and the Blue Ridge Parkway. 40 westbound, slow between Hendersonville Road and Bavard Road. Merriman Avenue, north and southbound, is stop and go between W.T. Weaver Boulevard and Beaver Dam Road. NC 191 southbound delays between Pole Cressman Road and Clayton Road. Hendersonville Road southbound, stop and go between I-40 and Overlook Road. Sweeten Creek Road southbound, stop and go between I-40 and Mills Gap Road. I'm Lyndon Field with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business needs, from quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Rogue Combat Club, Asheville's home for comprehensive martial arts training, has a goal for our community, one that's stronger, more fit, and unwavers in its support of one another. Rogue Combat Club's instructors have competed at the highest levels and offer classes for everyone from young children to adults in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and wrestling. Rogue Combat Club classes can help you boost your self-confidence and self-defense skills while weeding out the egos and intimidation found at other gyms. Join today at roguecombatclub.com.
Everyone's heard about the housing market and this being the best time to sell a house in years. But the same thing applies to cars. Whether you're looking to buy a car, trade in, or sell that car in the driveway collecting dust, Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville wants to buy your car. They have 2 on-site managers that work with Kelley Blue Book to give you top dollar for your vehicle. You can even have your car appraised instantly at AndersonNissan.com. Stop in and visit them today at 629 Brevard Road in Asheville or call them at 828-365-1663.
Welcome to Harvest Farms, where the best organic or natural products are waiting for you, where the fields are filled with flavorful delights, and every bite is backed with the highest quality and attention. This is a place of affordable organic adventure, where freshness reigns supreme, that can only be found at Ingles. Harvest Farms Organics. You'll love what's inside.
Running a small business is no small task. At Home Trust Bank, we work hard to prepare businesses for whatever tomorrow may bring. Your dreams are our business, and we have local experts who can help you plan for a successful future. Dependable guidance you need and service you'll appreciate. At Home Trust Bank, we take your small business banking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch or anytime at htb.com. Member FDIC.
You're in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville, the NFL Future Power Rankings. Who's got the best shot at being the best team over the next 5 years? We're into the top 4, and one of these things is not like the others.
But one of these things has something that nobody else has.
Indeed. Number 4.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
This team is gonna get harder to keep putting out Super Bowl favorite rosters.
It will. No doubt it will. No doubt it will.
So the front office has to be key.
And the front office is pretty good. They have managed a lot of this roster is homegrown. And that's one of the things that you have to, specifically with Buffalo, because it's been such a destitute wasteland for free agents for so long, that you're going to get credit when guys play a ton of snaps for you. And that's where they're at. Now, this roster is going to get expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen swells, and then it's a question of can you draft replacements. For me, Buffalo's a little high. Not tremendously. They should still be somewhere up here. I just feel like Cincinnati should be ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the algorithm didn't catch up to the things that how different things are 2 years later than they were 5 years ago.
Right. Number 3.
The Seattle Seahawks.
This is the one that's not like the others. Like, okay, front office is good. Head coach is good. I get those things. But
Pete Carroll's the top 5 coach in this league. Period. End of discussion. It's not debatable to me.
And so this just don't care about quarterback?
Well, you are number 2 in draft capital. That helps.
Mm-hmm.
You're also the best drafting team in the league. That helps. So, yeah, I mean, at quarterback, I had him 22. At roster, I had him I had him 22 at roster. I had him 15 at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong column.
Percentage chances, though, that Geno Smith has another year like this.
In that offense, I wouldn't see why he wouldn't.
Really? I'm at 2% at best.
Oh, that he has another year. You got to realize he didn't do anything all that special. He just didn't turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's throwing to DK
point.
Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And he's got Kenny Walker behind him. And you just drafted 2 How many different times did you see a graphic that said this is the first time 2 rookie tackles have done blank?
Yes.
There's a reason, because nobody ever does that. Nobody ever tries to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 are going to get exponentially better, as is Tariq Woolen, as is Kenny Walker. That's 4 of your 22 starting spots.
They had a position of need. They satisfied it through the draft, and they absolutely killed it. I get it.
And guess what? You got 2 top 20 picks again. And there is absolutely no reason for me to think they're not going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And you get Jamal Adams back, who might be the most talented player on your roster. And now, with Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant and whatever else you had, you can use Jamal Adams the way that you should have been using him the whole time instead of trying to get him to cover. I really like this Seattle team moving forward. Would I like it to be with a different quarterback? Yes. I would like you to have the ability to have a franchise quarterback.
Well, that's the thing. They're going.
You've shown me that you don't care.
In the next 5 in the 5-year window that we're talking about. This is why I couldn't have Seattle up here, because I know they're going to have a coaching change, and I know that they're going to have a quarterback change. Both of those things are inevitably coming in the next 5 years.
Did you say a coaching change?
Yes.
Don't be shocked if they don't.
Really?
Pete Carroll might be one of those guys that just does this until he's 80.
Maybe so.
Because everything he's doing steers in that direction. Why would you trade for all of these picks if you're just going to retire?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to draft these guys and then not develop them yourself? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Number 2.
The Philadelphia Eagles. There's one big difference between them and the team at 1.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tremendously great drafting team with extra draft capital.
Head coach.
I don't buy Nick Sirianni, and I never have. And look, if he wins the Super Bowl, then I guess I'll get a big old plate of that crow that people keep telling me to eat. Until I see you do it, you're still the guy that would go extended periods of time where, well, we don't run anymore. We just let Jalen Hurts throw it 37 times.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest difference. It's a really good drafting. This is a phenomenal roster.
The questions I have.
Do you
about
remember that thing I said
though,
about whatever that year was that Philadelphia just was god awful? And I said, you watch. Howard Roseman's just going to lather up, and the next thing you know, this is going to be the best roster in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Took 2 years.
Yep. But the offensive line is getting older, right? I mean,
it's getting older,
you're gonna
but,
have to.
but it's just the same thing. It's just like Jordan Mailata. Oh, we missed on Andre Dillard. Cool. We'll find a really good singing left tackle in that nobody paid any attention to, and he'll be a.
You love his voice.
I do.
He's very good.
He's very talented. I mean, look, I like this whole team. I'm not dead sold on the Jalen Hurts as a $50 million quarterback thing. But, I mean, if that's the biggest objection I have with you and you keep drafting like this, I don't care how much you pay him.
And at number 1,
the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs, who just continue to win.
At quarterback, you're 2.
Mm-hmm.
At coach, you're 1.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of drafting ability, you're 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could have no draft picks, and it would not matter. And your roster is good. I mean, I think I have Kansas City's roster as the 6th most talented in the league. Just because they're very good at the top end, and then it gets a little thin and young. But then I look at guys like Nick Bolton. Everybody had these big objections about Nick Bolton. Then he goes to Kansas City, and he's just a stud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does he do everything? No, but he fits the system, and they cater it around him. And that's what happens when you have an Andy Reid that is, to me, a no doubt Hall of Fame coach. And he's just got a slew of Steve Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy, these guys that have been around the league, and they just get it.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the least surprising part of this entire exercise to me.
That Kansas City came in at 1?
And by a lot. I mean, they just eviscerate the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Now, the problem that I have with this is it's all about where you've been.
And not so much where you're going.
Not about where you're going.
Yeah.
And see, I look at Kansas City, and I had them at 5 in mine because I just look at, can you continue to do this year in and year out for the next 5 years? We all know how much I believe in them, but I don't know that for the next 5 years you're the number 1. But the analytics say Kansas City is your number 1 team. Your future power rankings are thus: Kansas City all the way down to the Denver Broncos at number 32. It is the Sportsocracy. We'll be back with you for a Wednesday edition tomorrow afternoon right here in the Ingles Studio on ESPN Asheville. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you tomorrow.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Next weather maker bringing half-inch rains to Asheville tomorrow and some gusty winds. There's some high wind warnings up for some of the mountain peaks to our west for tonight and Wednesday morning. 35 degrees in the valley tonight, increasing clouds. Half-inch rains Wednesday morning, mainly high 55 and breezy south winds. Then turning colder again for Thursday, high 40, low Thursday night, 24. I'm meteorologist Scott Larimore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Traffic is crawling 240 westbound between Chuns Cove Road and Montford Avenue. 240 eastbound, stop and go between Amboy Road and US 1923, exit 4A. 26 eastbound, stop and go between I-40 and Brevard Road. Sweeten Creek Road, north and southbound, approaching Mills Gap Road is slow. Hendersonville Road southbound is stop and go between I-40 and Overlook Road. On Brevard Road, NC 191 southbound, delays between Pole Cressman Road and Clayton Road. Merriman Avenue, north and southbound, heavy delays between W.T. Weaver Boulevard and Beaver Dam Road. I'm Lyndon Field with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business needs, from quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Did you know Ingles only sells USDA Choice and Prime cuts of meat? Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. We'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
The Sportsocracy.
You are a regular nuclear meltdown. You better cool off.
From the Ingles Studios, this is ESPN Asheville.